All right, let's set things straight. I'm starting off about 6 months back, if that's cool.
Hey everybody, welcome to Core. This is Core. We're talking about video games here on Core. That's what we do. And this is the only podcast in America. Like pennies, we cost more to make than we're worth. Think about it. Put that in your head and roll it around.
I believe it. I didn't even need to think about it to feel that was true.
Yeah, it's just it seems like it's obvious to everybody and us. Hey everybody, it's me and it's John. I'm Scott. That's John. We have no Bo today. He's down with the flu. And my understanding is his mom is also sick, and the whole Schwartz family, our thoughts are with them as they try to feel better after catching whatever version of the flu they got. If the flu 1, not so bad. The flu 2 or flu version 2, whatever it is, that was supposedly really, really bad this winter, you don't want that. I got friends who got it in the first day of January and are still coughing and wheezing and having a horrible time. After this guy had 12 days of fever. It was really bad. I'm not saying that's what Bo has, but I hope that's not what he has. Is what I'm trying to get
Don't
at.
get that.
No.
I'm still sick too, but it's not that bad.
No, you sound great. And sorry about the day late thing. I had a big family emergency and it pushed the show a day. Thanks everybody for your patience, especially John and Bo. Although we would have probably had Bo yesterday, but it sounded like by what he described to us, he would have slowly deteriorated by the time we were done. It would have been pretty bad. We
would have gotten to hear it live as he went from upbeat and ready to, guys, I think I might be a little bit sick.
Yeah, I think I'm leaving. I can't do this Dear Martha bullshit, is what he would say.
John's going to read a letter. It's a game show.
It's going to suck. Not true. It's going to be great. In fact, we have one of those today, so stick around for that. But anyway, Bo, if you can hear us, and you might hear us, we hope you're okay. I'm going to start the show a little bit weird. I want to play a call from Xantar. Because I think it's an appropriate time to play it. So here,
I like that. It sounds like we're taking a call from an alien planet.
It does. Xantar would like to come and meet our leader, and we really don't want him to. But anyway, here it is. I'll play it.
Hey guys, Xantar here from Team Fusion. Long-time listener, first-time caller. It's not exactly gaming related, but in occasionally mentioned on the show news, everyone needs to be watching Dragon Ball Daima. It's on Netflix and Crunchyroll. It is the last thing that Toriyama worked on before he died, and it's just a fun, sit-back, adventure anime side thing where you can just go for the ride, and if you can ignore people chirping online about annoying stuff, it is so fun. And the latest episode might be the best singular anime episode maybe ever for anything, but especially for animation quality. New standard for transformations in an anime, and just felt like Toriyama's peak send-off. Cannot recommend this show enough. All right, thanks guys. Take care. Talk to you guys soon.
So, John, have you seen this Dragon Ball Daima? Is he called it? Daima?
Daima.
Okay.
Yeah. I've watched 2 episodes of it, and then I took a big break because I very quickly realized that I loved it, and I needed to be able to binge it. I was not going to be able to feel okay going week to week on it. So I was like, come on, guys. It's like Dragon Ball. It's like snack food anime. You don't eat one chip and then wait a week for another chip. You got to have a couple chips. Okay. And yes, from what Xantar's saying, 100%, I love the look of it. Through magical means, most of your big anime Dragon Ball characters are looking like little kids in this. There's a story reason for it, involving the Dragon Balls. And
shocker.
I really like the look of it. I really like the story of it. It feels, kind of like a fresh return to some stuff. But I'm a big Dragon Ball Z fan in general. I really liked Dragon Ball Super. But this storyline takes place between Z and Super. So it's even a step back in terms of where the story's been. So if you don't if you see them with blue hair and you're like, I don't understand any of this, you don't have to worry about it. This is a continuation directly off of, Dragon Ball Z where it ended. And not even that tied to Z. All you really just need to know is who the characters are. And But there's a lot of, I do know a couple spoilers for things that happen in it. I won't spoil it here. There are definitely some things that people have wanted to see that have been like wishful fan things that this show does. And it definitely feels as much like a love letter to Dragon Ball as it does to the fans of Dragon Ball. And with it being Toriyama's big, like, sign off in a way, like he didn't know, but like with this being the last thing he worked on before he passed, like it's very, very cool to see. So yeah, I'm going to go back and watch it. And it seems awesome. So yes, I will back up that recommendation.
And you know what? I'll watch it. Here's the description in short. Due to a conspiracy, I love that, very nondescript. All right. Due to a conspiracy, Goku and friends are transformed into children. They intend to travel to a mysterious new world to undo this change. Now, if I could just jump through anime wall portal and say to Goku and his friends, stay children as long as you can. Enjoy it. I would like to be turned into a kid again. And if I had adult knowledge as a kid, meaning I didn't lose my memories and wasn't a stupid kid again, because youth is wasted on the youth, or however they say it. Youth is wasted on the young. I want to be that again and not have somebody take out of it. So I don't care what the conspiracy is. I would stay baby Goku until the end of time. That's what I would
see. The problem is that the whole reason they've been turned into kids and the reason why they might need to undo it is because they're not as strong as children.
Oh,
so any threats that the world might have to face, they're not as capable at fighting it.
But they can still get way up high in the air, yell real loud, and make giant...
Oh, they're still, like, they could still, like, beat up almost anything.
Okay.
Like, yeah.
Right. Stronger than your average, but not Super Saiyan levels of,
No, they still go Super Saiyan.
Oh. Super Saiyan Junior, we'll call it.
Yeah.
Okay, well, cool. Well, you know what? We'll both watch it. I'm into it. And I'll see it. I shouldn't say I'm into it. I hated Dragon Ball Z in the day, but John's made me appreciate it more. And I think I maybe need to recalibrate my thoughts on.
It's just an innocent power fantasy. Also, they've slowly realized that Vegeta is the best character. And the more they realize that, the better the show gets in general.
Wow. You've been talking hot Vegeta, or hot Vegeta.
Yeah, let me tell you, I'll talk some hot Vegeta over here.
You've been singing the praises of Vegeta for as long as I've known you. And
he's great.
Vegeta, not Fajita, right? Vegeta?
Fajita was a restaurant we had down here, and it was very good, and it sadly closed during the pandemic, and you can no longer go to Fajitas.
Was it called
Although
fajitas?
I believe it's pronounced fajitas.
Okay, so it's called fajitas, but you guys would call it fajitas. That's right. That's only the right thing to do. I appreciate it.
Yeah.
If I were you, I would have done that too.
Yeah.
We had a place called ZCMI, and we called it Zikmi because it looked like it spelled that. So
yeah,
I've been there.
I mean, it's all fun and games till you accidentally say it out loud to the wrong person. Like when I ordered a Badger Blast from Taco Bell, and they were not happy.
They didn't like that?
They didn't find it as funny that I was calling it Badger Blast for a long time, and then that evolved into Badger Blast.
Got it.
And then out of habit, I ordered a Badger Blast from Taco Bell one time, and they went, "What?"
It's a good reminder that that's the only good Mountain Dew that there is. The rest, including base level Mountain Dew, should all go away in favor of the blue magical elixir known as Baja Blast.
I don't know if I can get behind that.
Oh, I love it.
There's some truth mixed in there. Like I do like Baja Blast tastes like what I would imagine cleaning products taste like.
You'll never know till you try, just to see.
You know, whenever you think like, I wonder what this tastes like, this thing I'm not supposed to eat.
Yeah.
And like then you taste it. Maybe you taste it. Like don't try any cleaning products at home.
We do not endorse that here. No.
You know, if you tasted it, it wouldn't be good.
Right.
Baja Blast tastes like what in your brain you think it probably tastes like.
Like if you're going to do a few spritzes of Windex down your throat, that's what Baja Blast would be. Yeah.
Yeah, it's like the fantasy version of Windex, not the cruel reality version of Windex.
Yeah. I think there's something to that.
But I also do like, sadly, they got rid of what I think is the best Mountain Dew. Best Mountain Dew is Spark. That was the best one.
Oh, I thought they still made that. Do they not?
No, they just announced they're getting rid of it.
Oh, I got a whole 12 pack here, and it's the sugar kind, which I don't drink. So I should pack that up and send it to my pal John, who likes Spark.
Yeah, get it to me.
Might
Raspberry
do that.
lemonade flavored Mountain Dew is good.
Yeah, that's true. But what about the red one? You like the, what is it just called? Just red? Mountain Dew Red.
I think I'm nostalgic for it, the Code Red.
Code Red, that's it.
Like there was an era where it was like, man, I'm gonna cook me a DiGiorno pizza. I'm gonna drink a Mountain Dew Code Red and watch Stone Cold Steve Austin open up a can of whoop ass on people.
That
I think
sounds
I just
great.
get nostalgic for it.
I'm
is really
nostalgic
what
for it, and I wasn't even into wrestling, and I want to do that right now. That sounds great.
Yeah.
Oh, man. Those were the days.
They were.
Well, today's a day of conversation and interesting stuff going on in the games business. Some of it a little negative, but we don't care. We're still going to talk about it. Actually, we're going to start in a positive place and talk about the big games of this month. Or I guess we're not quite there. We're 1 day away from March being March. But it's right around the corner. So sit back, relax. Here is your big talk of the week. All right, John, let's talk about the games of March. And stuff we're looking forward to, perhaps. There's some big ones. Like the biggest, I think, here are what we think are going to be the biggest ones, and then we can get into the minutia. But this is the month of Assassin's Creed Shadows, finally, after all of its delays.
I feel like we're less excited about the game and more excited about the, like, it feels like a big boxing match has been coming.
Yeah.
And on one side, people that are excited for Assassin's Creed Shadows. And on the other side, people who are not excited about Assassin's Creed Shadows. And they've been talking a lot of trash, both sides.
Yeah.
And now it's fight night.
Yep.
And the game's going to come out, and we're just going to enjoy what happens.
We're going to love watching how it all falls down. I personally am in the audience for that fight. I am rooting for it being good. I want this to be a bright spot in an otherwise very ugly period for Ubisoft, and I would love for my beloved series of Assassin's Creed to hit new high marks. And so that's my hope. I won't say that I'm horribly confident, but I don't know how much of that is me listening to the noise versus just, you know, what's real, because it may be amazing. I don't know what I'm at the point where I don't know what to think. I've blocked out enough of the voices where I'm now just at the stage of going, does Ubisoft, have they got this under control? Do they know what they're doing? Can all this chaos happen and still can a great game emerge from that? It doesn't feel like it. But
it's hard because I'm always in favor of good games, right? Like, oh, what a world we live in. A game came out that's good and fun to play. Like, obviously, that's the best case scenario.
Yeah.
There is a part of me that, you know, I look at the behavior and decision making and pricing and practices of Ubisoft, and there's that chaos part of me that speaks up that goes, no, let them suck on a lemon. The sad truth is, though, more often than not, the way companies learn hard lessons is they fire a bunch of people that had nothing to do with the decisions that made it.
Yeah. You're not wrong. We have a great example of that this week we'll talk about. Hey, guys, guess what? That Nemesis system, you're never going to see it again. There's a preview. Anyway, Assassin's Creed Shadows. We'll see. Japanese ninja and samurai man doing business, getting it done, you know, working on, hopefully not spending, if I have my way, we'll spend no time out of the Animus and hanging out in the future. Hopefully that will not happen at all.
You want to read some emails?
I hate it so much. And I don't even this isn't about whether I want the lore mixed up like that. That's not the problem. It's never been the problem. It's just the game screeches to an effing halt when you get out of that tube. So,
well, and it's not for anything interesting.
Mm-mm.
It's like, hey, you've been running around killing people for a while. You know what would be fun? What if we took you out of this beautiful world, put you in a cave or some stupid place, and let you read text on a fake computer screen?
Yeah, real exciting stuff, guys.
Who's going, finally, yes.
Yes, I'm taken out of this richly textured historical setting that people have gone bananas to realize to make it look right and be right and geographically correct locations. The one thing I want to do is get out of there and check my email. Dumbasses. Right. So stupid.
Just so you can listen to an audio file that's like, this is on. Linda is the worst.
They're all like
Boy,
that.
I'm glad I interrupted my assassin journey to hear that.
Yeah, It's really bad. Now, all ridicule aside, which it deserves for that stuff, I've always said the way you fix this is actually kind of easy, and they never do it, and I don't know why. But if I were in charge of the Assassin's Creed series, the Animus, outside the Animus stuff, the stuff set in the future where they're analyzing this data and doing these, whatever the hell they're doing, that stuff should be told in some exciting, brief CGI cinematic storytelling. That's it. I don't need to walk around in it. Don't let me control any of it. Don't let me walk up to stuff. Just give me a 30-second pop it out and have a guy go, oh shit, we didn't see this twist coming. The people in there have seen the construct and they know that this is artificial and a new god will be, whatever it is, whatever the impact is, just give me some good voice acting, some solid, camera work looking cinematics that are very brief. Give me like 3 of those for the entirety of the game. Get your story across. That's it. You're done. Yeah. No more don't render the world. Don't make me walk around it. I'm saving you time. That's what I'm doing.
Yeah, the Animus should be the marketing of the game, and it should be the user interface explanation. Yeah, nothing else.
I agree.
It should be like the way you should get excited about a new Assassin's Creed game back in a time when people cared. It should be like a Animus website comes online and is like, tracking a new subject for yada yada yada, and then people speculate for weeks. Oh, who's it gonna be?
Yeah, that ADR stuff or whatever they call it. Yeah. Put it in the world, have it be fun and viral, and look forward to stuff. But we don't need to go in there. We're good. So keep me in ancient Japan. So we'll see what they do. Shadows will be out on what's the date? That will be. I had it right here. Where to go? March 20th. So that's probably your biggest, most notable. Everybody's going to want to kind of focus on at least reviews and impressions and stuff. So we'll see what happens there. But then you also got this month, first Berserker Kazan, which John played the demo of and reported quite positively, if I remember right, on that episode of the show.
Yeah, I'm really looking forward to this game. It has an insane style. It's kind of a Souls-like-ish third-person action game, but I love the art. Seems like the systems are going to be pretty solid. Seems like it's going to play very differently than a lot of these action games do. So that's going to take some getting used to, but it's easily the one game I'm really looking forward to this month.
And that's 27th of the month, so right toward the end of the month you'll be getting this one. It does look really cool. And everything I heard you say seemed pretty positive. It seems a little maybe too Souls-like for what I'm interested in right now, but if it leans more action third person, we keep talking about these games now, they're kind of miscategorized. So I don't want to label it as one thing or the other, but I hope it leans more toward, I don't know what to compare it to, Devil May Cry side and less on the Elden Ring side. That would be good for me personally, but we'll see. This is one you're definitely going to play though, right?
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. I think you pre-ordered it. I think I saw your face on there.
Did I?
I think I did. Maybe I didn't. Maybe it wasn't you. I always look for that.
I usually don't have enough money to pre-order a month in advance. What am I, crazy?
This is a long time. You got
What am I gonna do with 2 months in advance?
Yeah, you literally
have it on my wish list. Yeah, it's on my wish list.
You're literally 30 days away on it, but just wish list. Maybe that's what I saw. That might have been it. I have this friend. I'm not going to say his name because I don't want to out him, but maybe I've talked about him before. But it's somebody who was around way back in the early Steam days. And in the early Steam days, if you were somebody who covered games at some outlet or another, they gave out, essentially they were journalist accounts. All right. So they would tie you, you'd make your account on Steam, and then they would flag you as a games journalist. And this is before everybody and their dog were games journalists, including us, right? Like there wasn't all these podcasts and all these YouTube channels and everything else. It was like a select group of people, the IGNs of the world and that sort of thing. And he got this account and still has it. It's grandfathered in. So it doesn't matter what comes out on Steam. It doesn't matter which version. It could be like the $130 Epic edition of anything. It doesn't matter. He owns it. He just has it. And he barely plays video games.
Oh, man.
I hate it so much. I hate it.
That's a youth is wasted on the young right there.
Yep.
Free video games are wasted on somebody who isn't going to play them.
I know. It really annoys me because every game I look at, it already, even if they're not out, his name's there. It says, your friend so-and-so already owns this game. And I'm like, no, he doesn't. He'll never touch it.
I will tell you, this is going to sound like it's pandering. It is not, because believe me, nothing would make me happier than to say I deserve such a pleasure. But honestly, if anybody in the world that I know deserves an account like this, it would be you, Scott. You already, any game I go to, you're either wishlisted it or own it.
There's a lot of wish listing going on, yes, in my life. I'm
gonna click a game. Let me just see.
Let's
I
just
clicked
try
a
it.
game.
Try
it. All right, I just clicked a random game.
Yeah.
You've wishlisted it.
Fantastic.
Coral Island.
Yep.
You've wishlisted it.
Almost bought it
Okay.
once.
I'm gonna just click another game. Let's see. I'm gonna click a category.
Yeah.
Here, we'll do it this way. Pick a number. Between 1 and 4.
1 and 4. 3.
Okay, survival games.
Oh shit.
Not a genre you typically love.
No, but there are some aspects and some games I really like in there.
Okay, let's see. What's the biggest variety of games on this where I can do this? All right, pick a number between 1 and 10.
1 and 10, let's go with 8. That's my favorite number, by the way, 8. And
Okay.
22 I also like. Anyway.
Oh, I found one.
Okay.
You are not on here.
Oh, shit.
Delta Force free to play game.
Oh, that sounds like shit. Yeah, I wouldn't.
Yeah, you are not on it.
All right. If I'd have chosen the number 5, what would I have had? What would have shown
You've
up?
chosen 5. Okay, let me see. Hold on.
Just see if that makes a difference.
Oh, you're gonna own this one. I already know it.
What is it? What is it?
It's Dredge.
I do own it.
Yeah.
That's great. Yeah, see, there are some in that category, but that's actually a rough category for me. And the fact that the second time you found me with one sort of illustrates your point. Yeah, I mean, I'd love it if they don't do it anymore is the thing. And every time I bring it up to him, he's like, don't say anything to anybody. I think they just let him go if nobody says anything. And I'm like, yeah, but you're not playing them. Play them. You never touch any games. It doesn't. He's like, in fact, usually when I talk to him, he's like, oh, I think games probably peaked at like Left 4 Dead 1. I think that's when it peaked.
Oh, man.
And I'm like, stop talking that way or I'm going to kick you in the teeth. I would love it. Anyway, there's that. What else? MLB The Show 25. Baseball fans, put your big boy pants on. It's coming. They got a new one.
It's funny because baseball pants traditionally kind of on the small side.
That's right. I don't know if this is coming to Game Pass like it has in the last couple of years. This is a Sony joint and they've been weirdly friendly with Microsoft with it, but we'll see. It will be on Xbox regardless. But MLB The Show 25, still kind of the premier serious baseball simulator game. Personally, I would go with what's the EA series that I really like? I have the 4th one. I know John's not much of a sports guy.
Oh, I know what you're talking about. I have it too.
Not big hits. What is it?
Super Mega.
That's it. Super Mega Baseball 4. Super Mega Baseball 4 is awesome. And I know we have EA listeners, people that work at EA. I'm not just, rubbing your chode here. I hope I'm not doing that at all. But that game's great and it's very accessible. If you just want to get in and have like fun baseball, you can. It will let you tweak things up to a point where it feels very simish. But at its core and at its sort of default level, you can get in there and just have a blast with big-headed dorks who aren't named after real people from fake teams. I love that shit. Huge fan of like arcade baseball. So I would recommend that. But for those of you who are super hardcore about, I got to follow the Phillies all the way to the freaking pennant race or whatever, then good news. The show, it's coming.
I was like going back in time.
Yeah. Shanna fan, if you're listening, and I know you are.
The show.
He buys anything with 25 at the end of it. So every year there's like a new NBA 2K25, 2K25 Top Spin, whatever. The wrestling thing you played a bunch of.
Yeah.
Shanna fan buys it. That's his deal.
Yeah, we should put our core Patreon membership. We should put the year at the end of it, and then maybe he'll actually.
Oh, then he'd belly up and support us.
Then he'll become a patron instead of just making us pay for him.
Core 2K25 coming to consoles and PC. That's great. What else? Oh, I'm looking forward to this. I never say it right. Suikoden?
Suikoden, I believe, but I don't know.
1 and 2. So these were PlayStation games, old ones. And I have recently fiddled with those and thought, man, these remakes will be fun. I didn't realize it was this quick. Those are coming up fast. Those are very cool JRPGs.
Yes, they're highly recommended, and
big fan base for those.
I believe there's a tie-in. I believe someone who worked on Suikoden 2 went on to do a lot of big work on Chrono Cross.
Mm-hmm.
So I know that's one that always comes up. I played a little bit of, I think, Suikoden 2, and I really liked it. So
yeah, I think the remastering and the typical, like you've seen lately with those, the Dragon Quest remake of 3, was it recently?
Chat says it's Suikoden.
Suikoden?
Yeah.
I'm sure I've never said it right. This looks like a real nice treatment, and but keeping it kind of what people expect. So we'll see how that goes. But I really like these games as much as I've played them. I haven't played a ton, but I've played enough to know it. You know, I came away going, oh, okay. I can see why these are popular. These are really good JRPGs. So that's coming on, what was the date? There it is. The March 6th, so right away, about a week or so, 6 days. PS4, PS5, PC, Switch, Xbox One, Xbox S and X, and that's it. March 6th. There's no other machines.
and those are the consoles.
And that's it.
What you have.
Yeah. If you're emulating PlayStation 1, you probably already have it. So there's that. And then Split Fiction. This is interesting. We've talked about this, haven't we? I think we have. Oh, yeah. It's the
this is
do shit together people making this one.
Yeah. Do shit together.
They make nothing but like great co-op games. This is the Hazel Light Studios people. The guy who always gets up and swears at the Game Awards. And they make it a meme now, and he just does it every year because that's funny, I guess. Kind of hate it actually, but anyway, whatever. The game is what's the last one? Takes Two. Yeah, It Takes Two. My daughter and I loved playing that game together. Absolutely loved that game. So my guess is this is great. They made Brothers. They made that Get Out of Prison one. Forgot the name.
Get Out of Prison, the game.
What was it called? It was like
I don't remember. I can't remember. I've never played any of their games. I've always been interested in it. I've never played them.
I mean, they are strictly co-op, and that's sometimes tricky just to, just even sit down with somebody in your own household to play a game solid until you're done. But it does look interesting. It looks pretty mind-bending. Like they're taking the formula to some new places. This seems pretty cool. I'm pretty sure I will end up playing this, but I don't think it's a day one buy for me. Probably just going to wait a little while.
Way Out was the prison game.
A Way Out, right?
A Way Out.
A way out. There's a way out of here, but we got to do it together, says co-op video game. Then there's a bunch of other stuff that many of you are probably looking forward to. A couple on my list would be 2 Point Museum. The word is these 2 Point games, they're all pretty good, but this is supposed to be, for some reason, like everything you liked about 2 Point Hospital and 2 Point Campus, and just better than that. Like this is like the best of those three. In fact, early Steam reviews are really good on this so far, and that comes out on the 4th. And I think you can pre-order, or you can buy get us an early version, which is why there's reviews now. But that's something on my list. I like those games a lot. They're super fun, and they, if you liked Theme Hospital back in the day, that kind of thing, these games are basically modern versions of that. Another one for me is already available on Game Pass, but I might consider it for console, and that is Age of Mythology Retold. That RTS sort of remaster, redo, remake. It's a full-on remake. Is so well done and so good with controller that it was almost the only way I wanted to play it. That blew my mind. Controller on there is so good. But I probably should just get it on Steam so that I can play it on my Steam Deck, because that'd be a good controller game. John, anything else that month that you're like, oh yeah, gotta do it, gotta get it?
No, I think thankfully it seems like a month where I'm not all in on a lot of stuff. So, which is honestly good as I look back at all the things that I want to play.
Yeah.
From February. But yeah, looking at it, I think those are the standout ones to me.
Oh, 33 Immortals looks interesting. And they're not to be confused with, I keep mixing that up with the RPG that's coming out, which isn't it also a 33? 33 Sentinels or 30? Shit. Whatever it is. The turn-based thing that looks so good that I can never remember the name of. Whatever that is coming out. This is not that, though. This is like action roguelike. 33 players can play in this thing. That's just interesting to me. I don't know if I care to play with 33 people. I don't know if I care for that level of chaos, but I kind of do want to see what this is. I want to see it played, so...
Expedition 33.
That's what I'm thinking of. Too many. God, don't quit putting 33 in your 2025 games, you guys.
Yeah, next thing we know, we're going to get another Jim Carrey movie where he goes crazy because there were 2 video games.
Oh, shit. We can't have that. Oh, that movie's bad. What was it? What was it called? It wasn't 33, was it?
No, it was like, what was it? Was it 21 that drove him crazy?
16 or 21 or some number? The chat remember?
Guys, trivia time. What number drove Jim Carrey crazy? It was 21.
21, you're right. Well, he can't play.
23. We've gotten 2 numbers now.
So he could win it.
42. Wasn't 42.
Pretty sure 21's right. Why, for whatever reason, that's 23 is right. Wait, 69? Now you guys are just screwing around.
Let's ask Google, what number drove Jim Carrey crazy?
I thought the one that drove him crazy was the Man in the Moon, and then he was just crazy.
The number 23.
It is called the number 23.
You want to hear the AI answer for this?
Yeah, do it.
The number 23 fascinated Jim Carrey so much that he changed his production company's name from Pitbull Productions to JC23. This was for the 2007 film, The Number 23, in which Carrey starred. I don't know if that's true because that's the AI overview, but it's believable at the very least.
You know what's weird about that too? Maybe this is part of it, but JC can be Jim Carrey, or it can be
right.
It can be that'd be JK, or no, it's Carey with a C, right? So that's either Jim Carrey or it could be Jesus Christ, and I believe Jesus lived to be 33 before they killed him, before they hung him up. You know, that whole deal.
Yeah.
So I think maybe there's even something there a little bit.
But 33 isn't 23.
Oh shit! What am I saying?
But that seems like the kind of thing that maybe
I don't know if you noticed
in that movie.
I love how you said I don't know if you noticed that, but 23 is not 33. You're right about that. I don't know why I got that in my head. Never mind. I'll put it this way: Jesus was 10 years away from his death at this point. There you go.
Yeah,
that's what I meant to say. I remember that movie being really bad. So maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I don't remember well enough or whatever, but I remember 23 being bad, even though it has Danny Houston in it, who I do like a lot. Okay. That's about it for us, I think, for the month. But, it's a good lineup. It's fine. There's a bunch of stuff. Hitman World of Assassination for PSVR 2 is interesting. I'll just be the voice of Bo. There's your VR game coming.
There you go. Yep.
Yep. And Wreckfest 2 is kind of interesting to me. That comes out on the 20th. I like Wreckfest 1. I like car games with a lot of smash 'em up physics. I'm into it. Yeah, so that might be
Remember when they used to make Burnout video games?
I do remember that. That was a brighter...
Scott, remember when video games were good and we could play racing games without it feeling niche because they made a series called Burnout?
I do remember that.
And it was just for us. Hello, gamers, they would say. We made a game for you.
It was a golden era where DJ Automaton, or whatever his hell name was. What was his name? Atomica would come out and say, "Hey, y'all, it's time to go race around Paradise City. There's nobody here. There's no pedestrians, but it's a little bit of a ghost town. But race. Go ahead and race and have a good time and get those billboards."
Hey, y'all, get ready to listen to Girlfriend by Avril Lavigne.
And about 14 times during this play session, you will hear Guns N' Roses with Paradise City. We paid a lot of money for this, so buckle up. This has been DJ Atomica signing out.
I'm not gonna lie. So we talked about it when we talked about good video game soundtracks, and I told you, there's this song, a series of songs in the Resident Evil 2 remake soundtrack that will get you pumped up no matter what.
Yeah.
And I decided to make a playlist that was all songs that make you drive really fast.
I want this. Can I have this? I want this from you.
It's not done. I'm working on it.
Right.
But I will tell you, Girlfriend from Avril Lavigne is on there simply because it was my favorite song on the Burnout Paradise soundtrack. So I associate driving really fast with Avril Lavigne criticizing my girlfriend.
This is before she married what's his name from that band that says, "Look at this photograph." It's before she married
they're
him.
not together anymore, though, right?
No, they're not?
They separated, yeah.
Oh, Gregory?
Unless it was the original Avril and not the replacement Avril Lavigne.
Oh, I've heard that. There's a conspiracy, right? That she's not the original. Yeah.
Yeah,
I like that.
her.
When we were kids, it was that Paul McCartney was dead, and that was like the biggest conspiracy and fake music conspiracy. Now it's that Avril Lavigne is not who she said she was,
that she died and a replacement took over.
Chad Kroger's his name. Jeez.
Yeah.
I don't know. I couldn't remember that. Look at this photograph.
Can I tell you something embarrassing?
Do it.
There are probably at least 2 Nickelback songs I like.
I will turn on Nickelback if I'm hearing a radio and Nickelback is on, I will not change the station. But doesn't imply that I'm like, oh yeah, turn it up. All right, Nickelback, right? But I don't, I'm not abhorred by it. I don't feel the way most people do where I'm like, change the channel before I kill somebody. It doesn't work that way.
Right.
I will let it go. I will look at this photograph. Do
you ever see the meme YouTube video where it's just him and he goes, "Look at this graph,"
and he's holding the bar graph. Yeah, it's amazing.
And that's it. That's the whole video.
That might be one of the greatest edits of all time, honestly, because it's so stupid and so perfect. It's amazing, but they're fine. You know who else is okay? Creed. They're okay. They're not as bad as you all say. They're just there.
Yeah.
They can have a song called "Take Me Higher," and you're going to leave it on. And you're going to leave it on. You'll leave it on.
I'll leave it on.
It's fast food music. There you go.
But I will roll my eyes. But I will leave it on. Yes, absolutely.
It's a box of candy. Enjoy it. I'm not going to go out and buy their freaking best of. I'm not going to do anything. I'm not going to go to concerts. But I'm not turning it off. All right. Yeah. Creed's having a moment now. Yeah, I hear their tour is kind of crazy. People are going nuts to these tours of Creed's. It's weird. I don't know what's going on there.
Yeah, I did hear that, and I was like, "Oh, we're serious about this?" And apparently, we were serious about it.
It caught me off guard. I was thinking that makes sense to me for things like I don't know, Metallica or Green Day or I don't know. Creed does not pop to my brain, but apparently they're having a moment. So good on them. What's that guy's name? He had a name too. The lead singer was kind of notable for.
Oh, what was his name? Yeah, he had a weird name.
Yeah.
I don't know if it was that weird, but...
Not weird, but it was Gavin's it's not Apollo Creed.
Apollo Creed. It was really funny, though.
That's great, T-Money.
It was initially funny, and then the more I thought about it, the funnier it got to me.
That's it. Scott Stapp, that was his name. How I don't remember my own name, I don't know. But Scott Stapp. Oh, is he? Okay, Jacob, thanks for that info. I didn't know that. I'm not bringing it up here. Okay, well, there you go. That's our look at March's games. Good stuff, exciting stuff. And now...
Started with Assassin's Creed Shadows and ended with Creed.
That's right. But let's talk more about a few other things. All right, so this is the month where Warner Brothers pissed everybody off. So that's cool. Warner Brothers, this is their games division, closed 3 video game studios. You are going to definitely recognize one of these. You may not recognize the others, but Monolith, Player First Games, and WB San Diego. Monolith, famous for the Mordor games, and rightly so. Those games are amazing. Second one was controversial, but they ended up making it right, and I always appreciated that. But they're fantastic, and they were, the inventors, not the inventors, but the refiners of what would be called the Nemesis system. Now, I'm told the Nemesis system is still alive and well, even with the closure of the studio. It's just now executives at Warner Brothers. So you take out one, you move to the next one. Eventually, you get to whoever's in charge of everything. And that's the new Nemesis boss system, is taken out.
Yes.
I'm not saying go hurt anybody, all right? I know we live in a time where actually somebody did shoot a CEO, and some people sell her. It's not where I'm going. I'm just saying. There's a little joke there about the Nemesis
You're just
system.
alluding to the fact that there was a thing called the Nemesis system. It was considered one of the best things in gaming in a long time.
Yep.
And they patented it because they're assholes. And even though they've closed the studio, they still have that patent till 2036 or something like that.
And that makes them poo-poo cacas, and I'm mad at them for it.
Yeah, I mean, WB sucks. Like, they absolutely do. You know, they closed down Monolith. That means the Wonder Woman game that was coming is not going to come out. Which is unfortunate because, you know, you look at it and you go, oh, great. We got the Suicide Squad game nobody wanted so that they could kill off a Wonder Woman game that actually seemed like maybe it was going to be something. That sucks. That's a sucky trade-off. And, you know, you can say that, I mean, you were referencing this story earlier when I said, you know, sometimes I like to see these companies have to suck on a lemon for the bad decisions they make.
Yep.
But this is exactly what I mean when I say it feels like the wrong people got punished because, again, Rocksteady made Suicide Squad. You'll note that is not one of the studios that closed down.
Nope. No.
A Monolith is because, we got that real piece of shit Suicide Squad game.
Do you think they went into? You think the Rocksteady guys went in there and said, "Hey, we swear we got an amazing Batman we've been holding on to. We probably should have done this first, but and I know this whole thing was a mess with the other game. But listen, I promise we'll get back to like the Arkham glory, and that's what spared them." Like, I don't know how that all went down, but it didn't seem like they were any less deserving of closure than Monolith. You know,
I mean, I guess they said that they were trying to focus on some tentpole big areas, which included DC characters like Batman. I don't know what they think Wonder Woman is.
Mm-hmm.
Kind of think Wonder Woman's maybe a big DC character, but apparently they didn't mean her. But yeah, I mean, it sounds like they're going to be doing another Batman Arkham game, but by all accounts, it's like starting from the ground up.
Yeah.
Like it's one of those things where they were not making this.
No.
That is a pivot that they're doing. And it seems very crazy to go, you know, I know this studio that has done stellar work, celebrated stellar work, is currently working on a game that, you know, we don't know how far along it was, but it was further along than Square One. We're going to cancel that so that this other studio that just cost us millions of dollars can start from square one on a Batman game.
Yep.
That seems a little bit nuts to me.
Well, it shows that they, rightly or wrongly, they think that Batman will save the day. And I don't mean that metaphorically. I mean, they think that Batman is and they're probably right about the level of draw. Like, I don't think that anybody would argue that a Batman game wouldn't garner more interest just in a vacuum than a Wonder Woman game would.
Yeah.
There's not everybody, obviously, but on the aggregate, I think that that's true. But I think that the Wonder Woman game had potential, and I was really looking forward to seeing what they would do with it. You know, and she is in the freaking Justice League, for shit's sakes. You know, she's one of the big three. I mean, who are the big three? We got Superman, Batman, Wonder Woman. Everybody else is all second tier. Everybody else is, you know, yelling a nuckchuck and I mean, there's more than that. Green Lantern and stuff. I'm thinking of the old who was the Native American guy? He would go a nuckchuck and he would get huge.
I don't remember that.
Oh shit! Someone in the chat will know this.
Is this some Super Friends?
Yes, it's Super
stuff?
Friends.
Okay, yeah.
I can't think of his name, but he was a Native American guy, Apache chief. That's it. An Apache chief would yell, "Oh no!" Or he'd say, "Oh, Superman, we are going to do the thing," and they say, "Okay, we need a giant guy," and he'd go, "Oh no, Chuck," and he'd get like 500 stories tall and fight the big constructs or whatever Lex Luthor bullshit was going on, and that was his whole job was to get big. So
yeah,
there's that.
Back in the glory days where you went to superheroes for like one thing, like. We need water-based help. Aquaman, let's get you.
Yeah, even
we
Green
need
Lantern.
Someone to get big.
Even the Green Lantern, which had better origins, obviously, but his whole thing was like in the cartoon was like, we just need a giant green fist to punch things.
Yeah.
So you're that guy. And Hawk Girl, can you fly? and have a mace. Yes. Okay. Well, you're in.
Yep.
It was real dumb. Anyway, that's over with. Monolith gone, First Player Games gone, and WB San Diego. Those other two didn't have anything notable in the works that like big giant cancellation.
One of them, I mean, it's not surprising because it was that, what was that Versus game that was using all the WB properties? Multiverses, yeah.
That's it.
That's it. Like that game kept getting launched and then shut down and then relaunched and then shut down. I feel like the writing was a little bit on the wall. Again, we talked about it last time where we said you can feel both, like, hey, these games make mistakes. Those mistakes lead to consequences. We get better games the more they learn from these things. But unfortunately, that does usually mean layoffs for a bunch of people that may or may not have had a ton of control over what's happening. And you can be empathetic about that while still saying, you know what, I'm not going to be sad that we're getting fewer games like that in the world. Not necessarily multiverses. That's what's being shown right now. I don't necessarily hate that idea, but
yeah.
WB just doesn't seem to prioritize games in a way that isn't based purely on how can we make money, and they're not doing a very good job of that.
Yeah. I mean, they made one of my favorite games of all time. Avalanche Studios, not the one here in Salt Lake, but the one in Sweden, made the Mad Max game in 2015. I love that game. I beat it, 100%ed it. I don't ever do that, guys. You know that on this show. I usually say, I'll get back to it. I beat that game. Love that game. Still go back to that game. So good. It didn't meet sales goals. So all the DLC was canceled, and I was pissed because they had a plan and they didn't do it. Still looks amazing to this day. If you play it now, you'd swear someone just announced that game. It looks so good. Rumor was Avalanche in Sweden was on a sequel, and they were working on it like right now. None of that got talked about here. So I don't know if that rumor, first of all, was ever true to start with. It seems like maybe there was something behind that. But the status of things, like who knows? WB doesn't own Avalanche, but they partnered with them. So whether that deal's going through or not, I don't know. But I wouldn't hold my breath. Oh, that hurts to say. I want a sequel to that so bad.
I mean, maybe. Apparently this, this comes on the back of them getting back into doing some of their partnership stuff again. Like, this is a weird metric to go off of, but like WB characters had not been appearing in Fortnite for a long time. Mm-hmm. Now WB characters are popping back up all the time consistently in Fortnite. Mm-hmm. So it sounds like they're leaning into partnerships again.
Yeah.
And
they're kind of doing the Disney thing, right? Disney did the same thing. So they went through this period of like, okay, everybody's making games about our IPs. We're now going to do that all internally, build our own studios, go nuts with it, all the way down to like Infinity was like the huge sign of like them really going all in. Their physical component, and then they went, Yeah,
what if we just sold our IP and then we have less risk and we just make money?
Yeah, I think that's.
There's
doing.
Disney characters in Fortnite. Think about how crazy that is. There are Disney characters in the game where you run around and just shoot guns at people.
Yep. Yeah, which is a crazy. 20 years ago, tell me that was going to happen, I would say you're lying to me.
I mean, granted, they're all villains, so clearly Disney still has some like. All right, well, if we're going to give anybody a gun, it'll be Captain Hook and Maleficent. But
yeah, also, you shouldn't give him a gun, but I get why you can't just use a hook in Fortnite. That'd be weird. Yeah. It's not really cool. I guess he has probably a musket. Well, no, you have all the guns everybody else has.
No, right? He pulls out a shotgun and shoots people. Yeah. That's Captain Hook.
Yeah, because Captain Hook, big fan of the double barrel.
I can't remember who the third is. Is it Cruella de Vil? I don't know. There's three of them. There's Captain Hook, Maleficent, and someone else.
If it's Cruella de Vil, does she shoot dogs out of her? Does she have a dog gun? No. Okay.
No, she doesn't have a dog gun.
That's a shame.
Should.
That's a shame.
They're gonna put cars in Fortnite, like cars like Lightning McQueen at some point.
Oh, good.
That's probably gonna be the closest we get to innocent, happy good guy characters causing problems.
Will they? Oh, that's interesting. I kind of want to see how they move in the game, because it'd be one thing if you just put cars in there with eyeballs. That's dumb.
But they'll probably just doctor up like a car. It probably won't be animated, would be my guess.
Yeah, Superman running around with a shotgun. That's so
it's one of those things I can't do. Like, because they've put Batman in. Batman's got a real strict no guns policy. Superman running around with a gun is a little just goofy.
Just dumb.
Right?
Yeah.
Like, why? Your eyes are guns. Just shoot them with your eyes. But, you know, like I have a poison ivy skin because of my love of poison ivy and not because of how the skin looks. And that's fine. Like, she's a villain. She can run around with a gun and shoot people. That's no problem.
Okay.
That doesn't bother me.
Yeah, villains with guns make sense to me, especially Gotham villains. Fine. But I don't know, like Lightning McQueen. Saranac says Lightning McQueen with a mounted gun. Yeah, what does that look like? Is it even mounted?
Cars 2 is full, like, Lightning doesn't shoot anybody, but Cars 2 is full of cars with guns blowing up. You can see cars get smashed in that movie. Cars 2 is off the chain. It's weird.
It's a spy movie, basically, right?
Yeah, but you see cars straight up get blown up in that movie.
I have never seen Cars 2 because I was told how terrible it was. I never watched. Couldn't do it. I like 3.
Fine.
3's fine.
It's weird.
2's I really like 1. 2's fine, or 3's fine. I just never saw 2, so maybe I'll.
Cars 2 is not any worse than Cars 1 or Cars 3. It's just different.
Ooh. Okay, Omega 9 just said Twisted Metal Cars. I'm not saying that that's a great idea, but I am saying that if Disney and, I don't know, Sony partnered in a Twisted Metal spin-out where it's just, it's basically car, you know, combat, but with all the cars from Cars, I'd play that. Hell yeah. I'd play that. Yeah, no problem. But you got to go gnarly with it. You got to let me blow Mater into bits, you know?
Yeah.
Because what's the point? You know, I need to be able to shoot at George Carlin's van or whatever he played in that. He's dead, so he can't use his voice, but still, that'd be amazing. Yeah. Mater would be Sweet Tooth. Oh, it's getting ugly now. We can't think about this anymore. Speaking of Assassin's Creed, physical copies of Shadows leaked online, which is a weird way of saying somebody got physical copies. Well, wait, did they try to sell them or did they put data?
No, they did sell them.
Oh, yeah. Okay. What do we know what happened there? Like how they got them?
Well, yeah. So this was a game that was supposed to come out last month.
Yeah.
So presumably, game stores and whatnot have been sitting on boxed copies for a while because that's how it works. And somebody sold some stuff they weren't supposed to, and those people went and put them on eBay. And then the more interesting thing is normally there is a digital level of protection that when you load up a video game off the disc, it, you know, does a check to make sure that you can load it. And apparently that did not go through on this, and people were actually able to boot the game.
Ooh, shit.
Supposedly.
Okay.
And granted, it is an early copy of early version of the game, because the whole point is, you know, day one patches. We live in that wonderful era. But yeah, it's confirmed that it was leaked, and it was confirmed that people were able. Well, actually, I don't know if it was confirmed that people were able to play it. People were saying that people have played it.
Does this stuff ever happen when you were at GameStop? Did you ever see anything like this happen early?
Yeah, we had plenty of copies of games that would come in and say, don't sell until next month. You know, stuff like that.
Did anybody ever break that? Like one of your employees or coworkers were like, hey.
Nobody ever broke it. There was frequently a big debate on, you know, should we take this home and try it?
Yes.
But there was always a fear that somehow it would get back to the man.
Yeah.
And we'd get in trouble. But yeah, there's plenty of that.
Interesting. So that's going on. Also, if you were sitting around going, man, sure wish Tony Hawk Pro Skater 3 and 4 were coming as a remake. Oh well, I guess I'll go on about my life. Good news! It is happening. I thought this was a Switch only deal. Right? Do I have that wrong? No, it's coming to everything. I'm sorry, I take that back. I read something that said it was Switch only, but here it is. Tony Hawk 3 and 4. We already got 1 and 2 remakes. Those were fantastic. It's now been rated for Switch, PC, PS5, PS4, Xbox One, Series X and S, all that stuff. So you're getting it soon. It's not those guys that Blizzard bought though.
No, that's why people thought it wasn't going to happen.
Oh, Iron Galaxy's doing it. Okay.
Yeah, because originally it was going to be the people who did 1 and 2, but they got acquired.
That's right. Blizzard.
So now Iron Galaxy's doing it.
Blizzard bought 'em. They quickly went to work on Diablo 2 Resurrected, and that's about all you're ever going to get out of them is Blizzard stuff. So there you have it. I was really hoping to see kind of, when I was there, I was hoping I'd be able to, like, I don't know, pass an office where somebody would say, oh, that's those guys. I never saw anything like that. And so
What are they? Vicarious Visions?
Vicarious Visions, yeah. And they've been around forever. There's like old GBA ports and things that they were in charge of. They did all the, I want to say the GBA ports of like Crash Bandicoot, the 2D versions of those and stuff like that. They were all over that stuff back then. And so their name was always familiar to me. And then I thought, well, if I poke around the offices enough, I'll see something. I just never saw anything about those guys there. The place was kind of a ghost town when I was there. It was weird.
Well, yeah, you were post-COVID, though, right?
Yeah, it was just last January or whenever that was, right before the end of the year, I guess. Anyway.
Man, Rhino Kenny in the chat with a hot take, but I might agree with it. Diablo 2 Resurrection is the best Blizzard release in 10 years.
Oh, 10 years. Oh, let me think. I mean, I know John won't include 2016's
Hold on, let's see if it's true.
team shooter Overwatch on there, but I might put Overwatch over that.
No.
I mean, I would, because it's already a game. 2's already a game. So it's just a remake, or it's a retouch.
Yeah, but it's really good.
It is good.
Unlike Overwatch.
Full stop, period.
Yeah, I thought I was going to say more. I was like, I don't need to put
Just put a period at the end of your sentence. That's it.
Okay, so what's 10 years, anything 2015 and later?
We're not counting WoW expansions, right? We're not counting that.
Heroes of the Storm was 2015.
Yeah, that was a good game.
Okay, so if we're going to say, okay, anything post Heroes of the Storm, let's see. Better than D2 Resurrected or not? I'll go down the list, right? Overwatch, not as good.
I might disagree with that, but it's also so different that it's almost not fair, but keep going.
Diablo Immortal, not as good.
Not as good. Not even close.
Overwatch 2, it's the same game, so it's the same answer.
Yeah.
In fact, it just made the game worse, honestly.
A couple steps back, for sure.
Diablo 4, not as good.
Okay. I don't know if I can agree with that. I really
Warcraft Rumble, not as good.
Oh, well, definitely not. Is that all they've done?
All right.
Is that it?
Yep. Rhino Kenny, you know what? I agree.
Those are the games of the last 10 years at Blizzard? That's it?
Yeah, that's it. I mean, there's been expansions and stuff.
Well, no, if you don't count, I understand the WoW machine and all that, but that's not great. Like for a company that was branching out to make all kinds of new experiences and go well beyond WoW and all that, they sure kind of didn't. In the end, I mean, like it felt like they were a little bit, sort of, kind of. Man, I would have left when Chris left too. That was a weird time. I don't like it. Plus, we had Shadowlands during that. It was one of the worst things they ever did. I don't know, man. Who knows what the future is over there? I hope it's good. I have a lot of friends who I really like and would love them to have their jobs and stay there.
Yeah, I like a lot of people at Blizzard. I have a lot of history with Blizzard for all the crap talk I make about Overwatch. I liked Overwatch fine in the beginning. I just got sick of it pretty quick.
Yeah. You baited that thing out of your system.
Well, and then they made me mad. Like, it was fine when it was just a game I stopped being interested in. The Overwatch 2 is what turned, and that's why I like to shoot shots across the bow every time I get an opportunity. Overwatch 2 is the reason for that.
Yeah. I want to go to an alternate timeline where the timeline split and Titan did not get canceled so that I could just see where that went. Yeah. I don't even need to experience it. I just need like a historical hot take. Oh, thanks, babe. My wife brought me a soda. Nice. It was very nice. Thank you. I just want to know the result of it all. Did it go well? Did it work? Was Pardo wrong? Did Blizzard make a mistake by canceling it and just chucking that money away and converting some of it into Overwatch? Like, what does that look like? And we're never going to know the answer, but man, I'd love to see that, just to see.
Yeah.
Because there were a lot of passionate ideas behind it. A lot of people really put their guts into it, and then it all got yanked. and we'll never hear the real story because apparently it's just like emotionally bloody, the story. No one's happy about how that went. We got a very brief sort of look at it in the book by Schreier, but there's a lot more to it, and I would love to hear it one day. I know some of it that I can't ever say, so don't ask. You'd have to pry it out of my dead body. All right, John, what else here? Oh, so the point of that was Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 3 and 4 remakes are coming. That was the point.
Yeah, that was a weird diatribe, but hey, here we go.
Yeah.
Good news, everybody. We're going to get remakes of Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 3 and 4.
Yeah.
I don't know if that means we're going to get the guest characters, because I'm pretty sure one of those was Darth Maul.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I kind of have a vague memory of that, but I thought it was 2. Maybe it was later. And then 4 is the last one before they started doing the underground stuff, right?
Yeah.
Tony Hawk's Up Pro Underground, whatever, 1 and 2.
Tony Hawk's Pro Skater guest characters.
I remember loving 3. 3 is the first one I had on GameCube. 4 I played on PS2, I think.
Okay. Oh my gosh, they've had so many guest characters. Darth Maul was in Pro Skater 3.
Okay.
Spider-Man was in 2.
Yeah. They could still do that.
Doom Guy was in the PC exclusive Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 3. I didn't even know there was a PC version of that.
Yeah. I didn't either.
Who else we got? Who is Daisy?
Daisy.
Oh, from Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 4, based on former porn star Jenna Jameson.
Shut up.
Who provided both the appearance and the voice for the character.
You're kidding me. Really? Is that true?
That is true.
Rebel Scum in the chat says...
according to this...
Yeah. He says Jango Fett was also in there. Is that true?
Wolverine was in Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 3.
That probably won't happen. No Wolverine. Although, what the hell did that look like? I got to look that up.
Yeah, who was Jango Fett was in 4.
Wolverine in Tony Hawk. I have to see. Oh, jeez. That's as bad as I thought it was, dude. You have to see this. That's, I've never heard of a more, I mean, this is pre-Fortnite, obviously. Nobody knew what they were doing with this stuff. But look at this. What are we doing?
He's skateboarding.
Yeah, I know. But look, his claws are out. He's in the yellow and blue. Like, what are we doing? This is terrible. That's awful. It's a stupid idea.
Did you know actor Jason Lee was a guest character in Tony Hawk?
No, as just Jason Lee or as like...
He only appears in Tony Hawk's Project 8.
Okay.
Player's first sponsor.
Here's the good news. If you play 1+2 and you get Nexus mods going on PC, you can play Wolverine in this form right freaking now. Look at that.
Look at that. Yeah. Well, I mean, you got to put him in there because what if your favorite character to play as was Wolverine?
I mean, sure.
He probably had some very exclusive Wolverine style tricks.
Look at the look on his face. You need to see this. This is PS2 era stuff. Look at that. I'm skating, bub.
I'm skating, bub.
Look out. Tell Professor X.
This is before everybody thought I looked like Hugh Jackman.
Yeah. More like huge Jackman. Anyway.
I bet Bam Margera isn't going to be in it.
Probably not. Well, maybe.
Just a guess.
I mean, the deal wasn't with Jackass. It was, I think they were individual skater deals, so he might be in there.
Maybe.
You know, it wouldn't surprise me.
But I know he's cut ties with a lot of them.
Yeah. The Underground games, he was in those for sure. He was prominent in those. You could be this kid. Look at this guy. John, what do you think of this guy? I don't know who this is.
Well, that's great.
Yeah, that's cool.
There's the real Hawk.
Yeah, Tony Mohawk.
Tony Mohawk right there.
I want to know a guy named Tony Mohawk real bad. Yeah, I don't know. Like if they can get all those people back, obviously that's great. But I have my doubts. It's a lot of different IP owners now. Like people, Sony isn't what they used to be on the Spider-Man side. Fox no longer owns the rights to the X-Men. They'd have to work with Disney on that. Disney might be totally down with it. But it's also a remake, not really a giant new release. I don't know if they're expecting those kind of sales to justify the licensing. So if I had to guess, this thing's going to come out, sans all the extras, and then you, John, are going to have to go to Nexus Mods and do it yourself. That's my thinking.
Yeah, probably.
I hope I'm wrong.
I didn't know Matt Hoffman was a character in Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 4. I wonder if he had a bike.
The
if he actually used a
BMX guy?
Skateboard. Yeah.
Oh yeah, I had Matt Hoffman Pro Biker, Pro BMX, whatever. They were trying to Tony Hawk everything back then.
What do you think this sentence means from the Tony Hawk's Games Wikipedia? Because I got to tell you, I don't know what it means, and it reads questionable.
Do it.
Hoffman appears as a ped in the unlockable Chicago level in Pro Skater 4.
A ped. Do they mean
that
fed?
Short for pedestrian?
Oh, maybe short for pedestrian, not pedophiles. We're hoping it isn't, right?
I would hope that Matt Hoffman wouldn't be like, oh, that'd be a funny thing to be.
Or what about fed? Is it a typo? It's like a federal agent. Oh, it's the
maybe,
feds.
But that's not a great sentence. That sentence doesn't look good. If I was Matt Hoffman, I'd be like, hey, let's edit the Tony Hawk wiki, please.
This is something Bo probably knows because he used to skate. He was a kind of hardcore skater. Is ped like short skater slang for pedestrian? Or anyone out in our audience who's like a big skater guy? Send us in. Send us in. Tell us your thing. Send us an email. That's what I'm trying to say. And let us know what ped means. And we really hope it isn't pedophile because I like Matt Hoffman.
Yeah. Why you would decide to share that with the Wikipedia would be beyond me.
It would be a little weird. Yeah, I'd like to announce my pedophilic nature via this thing about the game where I appeared as a pedophile. That would be weird.
Yeah, that would be weird.
No question about it. Fable got some new footage and delayed again. I would like to tell everybody that Fable, this will make Fable 10 years since the announcement, by the way. So I'm worried about this game. I think Fable might be a Fable at this point. I don't know if it's going to come out. I'm nervous about it. I know it's got, a lot to live up to, but Fable's delayed. Oops, there's Bo. Again. I keep putting Bo's weird picture up by accident, which is okay.
Hey, just remind everybody what they're missing every now and then.
Exactly. If you've just tuned in live, Bo's not here because he's ill, and this is the photo we use of him, which is himself attempting to put his finger up his own nose.
Yep.
But it's a separate person for those listening at home. That won't make sense unless you see it.
It's basically art.
Oh, no, it is the definition of art. But anyway, Fable pushed to 2026, and the reasons are the usual ones. More time to better give you the, hey, gamers, we've heard you, that stuff, right?
Yeah, I gotta say, I wasn't really sold on this new footage. And, our general Discord sentiment is that I was being an old man about it. I don't think I was. Like, I watched the footage and they're saying this is pre-alpha footage. This is early. To a degree of it's kind of questionable why they decided to release this. But I saw the footage for it and I don't think it looks very good. I think it actually kind of looks bad. And obviously we've said earlier, I'm in favor of good games. I really hope an awesome game comes out that we can all play and have a good time with. But if you say, like, John, what do you think the Fable series is? Like, it's a very over-the-top, very stylized fantasy world that gives you the power fantasy of, we started at the bottom, look at us now. We're a king, we're a god, we're a hero, we're whatever. Like, that's always been what it's about. And this footage looks like they've gone for a more quote-unquote realistic fantasy. I think it's more interesting looking than like Elder Scrolls art, but not much. Like, you see a werewolf and you're like, yeah, that looks like every fantasy werewolf, and it's very high res. It just seems to lack all the Fable. None of it reads Fable to me. Like, if you showed it to me in 100 years, I would have never guessed that this game was Fable. I would have guessed every other medieval name, word, combination of words that you could possibly pick. I'd never pick Fable. It just doesn't read as Fable to me. And I think that that's maybe where my problem is with it, is I feel like you should look at this and you should be like, oh man, Fable's back. and none of this reads as Fable to me. And that could be because it's just too early right now. And maybe we'll get to it. But, you know, for me, that's a series always about, you know, big bombastic armor and, you know, growing your character and growing your legend, and your actions dictate who you become. And every scene, this girl kind of looks like the same character. And for a game that was about evolution of your character, that concerns me. So I'm hoping for the best, but I'm tentative on it at the moment.
I think that I'm okay stylistically with them having it look a little. It's almost like, what's that game everyone's playing right now that they love? The
Kingdom Come
2. That's it. Deliverance 2, whatever it is. It has that vibe, like the look of it. You could lie to me and say, here's a scene from that, and I'd believe you. What I need to be right, or the Fable part I need is the humor to really come out. Because to me, those games were intrinsically supposed to be funny. Whether they were actually funny is subjective. But right. I thought that was the point, is very British funny, British sense of humor. Here it is on display in a otherwise traditional kind of third-person action RPG. So to me, that's a huge part of this, and they're not really showing that. So I'm obviously, I mean, like you're saying, it's too early to make full judgment, but I'm not like encouraged by any of this, and certainly a new delay doesn't encourage me. That just makes me go, ooh, what are you guys doing over there? 10 years? Like in 10 years' time, you got 3 Gears of War. You got, just as comparisons, 3 Nathan Drake adventures, 4 maybe, if you count the little bonus one.
Yeah, because that 4th one came out pretty soon.
Yeah, like we know it's possible in a decade's time. I know things have changed, and they're always talking about AAA takes longer than ever, and it requires more money than ever, and I know it's a bigger risk, and all that stuff is true, and I'm not trying to discount that, but it just feels like this stuff that's weird. This is a weird delay, in my opinion. I don't know what it means, but we'll find out. All right, we're going to take a break. When we come back, a Dear Martha quiz. It'll be just for me.
Yeah.
Right?
Well, and the chat.
And the chat. Yeah, you guys can play along because we love you and you're great. But then after that, we'll talk about the games we played. We got some feedback from you guys, a couple of phone calls. Good stuff on the way. So stick around. We'll be right back. And it's back. We're back. And it's time. I'm going to burp. Hold on. My wife brought me soda, and you know what happens when that happens. Anyway, hey, forget about all that. Forget you even heard it. Let's do Dear Martha. John, it's time. And it's just me this week. So we're going to have a little contest. Chat room can participate, but this is just a chance for me and my trivia mind to really shine. So give me the basics, and then we'll crank it up.
Yeah, so if this is your first time listening to the Dear Martha game show, or Scott, in case you forgot, here's the rules. Yeah. We're going to play Guess the Game. I'm going to read a negative, fake Dear Martha letter review of a video game, and you need to guess which video game I'm talking about. Last week, chat won. You guys lost. Yeah. So I'm making it easier, and I'm giving it multiple choice. You need to pick from one of these PlayStation bestsellers. Okay. So A, Final Fantasy VII, B, Tomb Raider, C, Crash Bandicoot, D, Metal Gear Solid, or E, Resident Evil 2. And don't try and metagame it, because these are in order of how well they sold.
Okay, this is a sales list, basically. Yeah. Okay, well, here we go then. I'll hit this and off we go.
My dearest Martha, the original PlayStation and its library of games are viewed as historical evolution for gaming. Many series still see remakes, and new games today have origins in this era. With a pedigree like that, I expected a lot, but I was sorely disappointed. If you can call 17 triangles gyrating around cinema, well then, I don't want to live in this world anymore. Some games didn't feel it important to even give their main character eyeballs. One thought the best place for the camera was so you couldn't see where you were going. They constantly wanted you switching discs for some really bullshit reasons. We need the Scenario B disc this time. I swear some of these games were only popular because they had 6 other games do the heavy lifting before them, or because pervy kids read they could see the character naked if they backflipped into a swimming pool the right way.
Oh, shit.
Well, I played one of these games, Martha, and tell me if you've heard this chestnut before. Main character goes looking for a loved one, brushes up against mankind's own hubris, meets a bunch of weirdos, gets in some fights, and calls it a day with a big explosion. That only describes everything ever. How original. I give it a 2 out of 10 because at least I didn't play as someone who was having a bad first day at work. Yours in this life and the next, Klondike 53226.
Klondike. Is there a hint in that, maybe? Or no? I'm nervous about Klondike. All right. Damn. Final Fantasy VII Tomb Raider. I assume Tomb Raider 1, right? You there, John? Can you hear me?
Hold on, I was having a hard time pasting the letter without going over our whole show.
Oh, that's totally fine.
There we
go.
The letter's up there now.
Okay.
So you can evaluate it. It was poorly written. I did not proofread this, so
Klondike 5.
It's a little rough. Is Klondike 53226 a hint?
Yeah.
Maybe. In
Okay.
a weird roundabout way, it could be. So we're gonna have to see.
Okay. Also, this bit about backwards jumping into a pool or whatever.
Yeah.
That's 100% Tomb Raider business. But the way the review reads, it's like, where is it? I swear some of these games were only popular because they had 6 other games to do the heavy lifting before them, or because pervy kids read they could see the character naked in the backflip to the swimming pool in the right way. And that makes it sound like this is hard. And you know what? The thing about no eyes, that applies almost to everything here. Like, none of the characters have, like, especially Metal Gear Solid, they have terrible eyes. But the switching of discs and scenarios, that takes it out of Tomb Raider territory. So forget that. Metal Gear, I think, may have been multi-disc. Final Fantasy definitely was. And Resident Evil 2 definitely was. Crash Bandicoot is not it. So for me, it's between A and E, and I'm gonna say Resident Evil 2. I don't know why. He's looking for family. I think he's looking for somebody. I'm trying to make all these things make sense, and they may not. And I also don't know what Klondike 5 has to do with anything. So I'm going to say Resident Evil 2, E.
Okay, so you're locking it in. Resident Evil 2. Chat room in general seems to be agreeing with you. Resident Evil 2 definitely the popular choice in the chat room.
Yeah.
Scott, have you ever seen a video where someone is sliding into on ice and their car is sliding, and somehow, even though they're clearly out of control, they land perfectly in a parking space without hitting any other cars?
That's vaguely familiar.
Well, that is what you achieved today. I have never heard somebody incorrectly back into the correct answer, but that is exactly what happened here today. You are correct. It is Resident Evil 2, but I don't think for any of the reasons that you actually said. So this entire letter is a big bunch of misdirection at the beginning where I describe all of the video games separate.
Yeah.
Main character doesn't have eyeballs is a reference to Solid Snake and Metal Gear Solid.
Yeah.
Thought the best place for the camera was so you couldn't see where you're going was Crash Bandicoot. Wanted you to switch discs to put in scenario B for some reason. That's Resident Evil 2.
Yeah.
Only popular because it had 6 other games before it. That's Final Fantasy VII. And pervy kids wanted to see a character naked is Tomb Raider. But if you'll notice, after I talk about every option, I then say main character goes looking for a loved one, Claire Redfield looking for her brother Chris, brushes up against mankind's own hubris, Umbrella creating a zombie virus that infests the town, meets a bunch of weirdos. I mean, take your pick in Resident Evil, honestly. Gets in some fights, plenty of those, and calls it a day with a big explosion like the destruction of Raccoon City at the end of the game. And I gave it a 2 out of 10 because at least you didn't play someone who had a bad first day at work, which is a reference to the fact that you play as Leon if you don't play as Claire, and it's his first day on the job as a police officer. And the final clue, Klondike 53226 is the phone number you call to contact Mr. Plow. That name again is Mr. Plow, which is what, admittedly, this is a me thing, is what I called Mr. X when I played Resident Evil 2.
You called him Mr. Plow at the time? That's great.
Yeah.
I love that.
Yep.
That name again is Mr. Plow. All right. I'll tell you my number one thing that sent me to E, and it was disc swapping. That's the main reason, which leads some to believe that I do think that I didn't finish Resident Evil 2 Remake and not play the second scenario.
Yeah, you didn't.
But I still maintain that I played that game because credits ran, and that's all there is to that story. That's the end of that. That'll never come up again. That'll be it. That'll be the end of that. All right. That was awesome. Well done. Well constructed. And eat your heart out, Bo. I got it right this week. Okay, let's move on to what we played this week, which turns out there are a bunch of games we played, and if I could find my way through here. All right, let's talk about some games. The shared play this week is actually between you and Bo for the most part, with the exception of Avowed. So we'll talk about Avowed real quick. I didn't have a ton of game time this week. I had tons of stuff going on, and then things got real crazy toward today or just before today. So things didn't go exactly the way I wanted to. But I did get a bunch more time in Avowed. I've got additional companions. I'm running around doing stuff in that world. I still really like Avowed a lot. I've had some people come to me and say, Scott, it's just it's good, but it's not great. I'm like, that's okay sometimes. I didn't come into that game needing anything but a good experience from a dev studio that I always like their games, even when they're just good. They never give me bad games, though. And in a world of like plenty of bad games, I'll happily take the good ones. I don't need this to break like crazy new ground. I don't need any more than I needed the previous Pillars of what was it called? Eternity. Thank you. I couldn't think of the thing they were pillars of. The Pillars of Eternity games, 1 and 2, I love those games, but I'm not about to come to you and go, oh, they're better than any point-and-click sort of CRPGs ever made. I'm not going to do that. But I'm going to tell you they're really solid and awesome, and I liked them, and I like the story, and I like the world, and this is a continuation of that, and giving me a new perspective to do it in, and it's beautiful, and it's all that stuff. I really like Avowed, and I continue to like it. I don't have much to add other than what we've already said, except I'm loving it. It's great. I think it's good.
Yeah, I've had a bit of an issue with how people have been critical of this game, and I think it's fair to be critical of this game. I think this game isn't a perfect game. Like you said, it's good.
Yeah.
But that doesn't mean it is a perfect video game. I think the biggest issue is it feels like everybody's looking for the best shorthand to win the argument on factually if it should be good or not, and ignoring the fact that, like, is a game good is a pretty subjective thing to begin with. I think the problem with trying to win that argument is you don't make actual useful criticism. And, people keep putting up videos of Skyrim and going, look at Avowed compared to Skyrim. And it's like, well, what are you actually saying with that? Sorry, I had to cough.
No worries.
But, like, that's not, in my opinion, a very good criticism of the game, because at no point did Avowed go, hey, we're better than Skyrim. This is the next Skyrim. Like, that wasn't a comparison they drew. So going like, hey, it doesn't do this, it's not what they're shooting for. So it's really weird for people to be showing videos like that and just going slam dunk, I don't have to talk about it. I think you kind of got to talk about it. And if you want to say, I think it's too expensive for what it offers, okay, that's a conversation you can have. You need to have that conversation, though. Not go, look, I shot an arrow into the air and it didn't come down in Avowed. Like, for a lot of people, who cares?
Right.
That doesn't make a game fun or not. And so it seems really weird the way people are having discourse about it. And I don't think everybody's going to like this game. I think it has problems. I have problems with it, but I'm having a lot of fun with it.
Yeah, same. It's it's just one of those things where I think it's fine for us. I think being critical of the games we play, I think is great. We do it here all the time. It's just one of these times where I don't know. Every game, everybody's got expectations that don't seem quite right anymore to me. And maybe it's just my perception, but it just seems like everybody wants everything to be the next everything and surpass everything that came before it. And I think this is a weird game to even lay that on, because why? It's just, I mean, maybe we have high expectations for Obsidian, but this meets my expectations. So everyone's going to be different. I'm not trying to tell other people how to think. I just think we should, there feels like we need to back off some and just not be so damned critical. If the game's really, screwing around with us, fine. If it's really buggy, fine. If it's got all these problems, narrative issues, whatever, fine. And like you said, not a perfect game, but I don't really know too many perfect games. And we got to quit pretending like every next one might be the one. And when it's not, we lose our minds. That's all.
Yeah, this game absolutely exceeded my expectations. Now, admittedly, my expectations for this game were not insanely high. Like, you can listen to the episode before I played it. I said, Avowed's coming out. I hope it's good. I'm a little worried about it. But, I'm hopeful. Like, hopefully it's good. I was pleasantly surprised instead of disappointed. Now, if I was going in with really high expectations, maybe I'd feel differently about the game, but again, pleasantly surprised. And I think the things it does well, I hope other games of this ilk do things similar. And that's part of the reason why it's so baffling to just show a side-by-side video and go, there, I've done my work. Because, like, if the next Elder Scrolls game's combat doesn't feel as good as Avowed's, that's something that would bother me. If the next Elder Scrolls game's exploration isn't as satisfying as Avowed's, that's something that would bother me. There are areas where it's pushing gaming, I think, forward and doing it like stuff that's really cool and really interesting. But I don't think, again, I'm fine with people dunking on it.
Yeah.
Like, we dunk on video games all the time. If this wasn't your cup of tea, it's not your cup of tea. I just wish people had a little more creativity than just, like, here's a game that at no point did this game pretend it was going to be compared to this game. Like, you can understand a little bit where it's coming from. It's not like they put a scene of swinging a sword in Avowed and then cut to Ken Griffey Jr. baseball. And like, oh, that's why the game's garbage. Like, at least it's not that crazy of a jump, but at the same time, like, it's just not it's not that comparable. Like, I didn't go into Avowed going, man, I want the best first-person RPG crime simulator, and the guards need to be able to catch me, and I need to be able to steal everything, and I need to be able to touch anything. Like, I maybe it's a me thing. I didn't go in with the expectation that these things were going to happen, so at no point did my expectation brush up against reality in a weird way. Like, I didn't go to open a lock-picking chest and not have a mini game and go, oh man, I was so excited to play a stupid lock-picking mini game.
Yeah.
I was just like, oh, okay, that's how this game works. Yeah. It's a different video game. It's not in the same series. If this was called Elder Scrolls, whatever the next one's going to be, then I could see the comparison, but it's a different game. Mm-hmm. And again, I see it in our chat room where people are like, I think the game's too expensive for what it is. That's fine. Like, but let's say that. Like, make a video, talk about that, and let's talk about that as a criticism for the game. I didn't spend that money on it. Like, for me, it falls very well into the Game Pass structure, but that's again a benefit of Game Pass in this regard, where it was like, yeah, I was happy to just play this game for, I think it was for $20 or whatever I paid to get the most expensive version and play early and all of that. I thought it was well worth it. So, it's just weird. I think also it probably didn't do any favors coming so close to Kingdom Come Deliverance 2 or whatever it's called, which that one does go the other way, where it's deep and immersive and all sorts of things. And I said it, last time we talked about Avowed. Avowed feels very arcadey.
Mm-hmm.
It feels like they cut out a lot of the extra fluff, and we're like, no, let's just get to the meat and potatoes of what we're going to do and call it a day right there. And that's
might have been what I was in the mood
what
for.
I wanted.
Yeah,
that's what I was in the mood for, and I liked it.
Yeah.
So
I also think, I hear a lot of voices, some of the same voices that are critical, saying we need more AA games. This is the problem with the industry. It's all indies or AAA or nothing in between. Well, here you go then. Here's your AA or two A's and a half, or even call it a B if you. I don't care what you call it, but here's your middle ground. Here's your place to have a good experience. You may have a good argument that 70 is too much for that. 69 is too much for that. You may have a good argument that 69 is too much for any game at this level. I don't know, but as valid as those arguments are and can be and should be, we should be having those discussions about how the business is run and how these things go. As a game that's not asking you for a bunch of extra stuff, that isn't telling you to buy microtransactions or make sure you get the DLC to finish the story or any of that bullshit, it's a pretty good value. And if you're doing Game Pass, it's even a better value. And it falls neatly into that place you're all begging for all the time, which is give us something in the center. You don't have to shoot for the home run, and you don't have to undershoot with the tiny. Go somewhere in the middle. This is it. This is it right here. So enjoy it. And
or don't.
Or don't
enjoy.
And someone in the chat said Adam Falls next. That's another game I consider in this vibe, this vein. Will some things jump out and we'll go, oh my gosh, I did not have expectations for that. It's a war, it changes games forever. Could that happen? Sure. That's how you get Elder Scrolls. You have games that come out of nowhere that no one knew were coming from passionate small groups of people that take off so big that they're the next Blizzard, and they have, 400 million employees before you know it. And then we all complain about them for the rest of their existence. That's the pattern. And one of these games may do that. But Obsidian even said in a recent interview, they said, this is what we do. We don't earth shatter everybody. We sometimes outdo others. Like, I don't think they even expected to come in and mechanically keep everything the same. They're in the engine, all that stuff. They come out with Fallout New Vegas, and then they exceed all these expectations on story and other aspects of the game over, not for everyone. Like John likes 3 better. I prefer Vegas. But overall, Vegas has this position of thinking, people think, oh my gosh, they outdid Bethesda at their own game. So they may do that occasionally here and there, but their job, and when this interview with the head of the studio was very clear about this. He says, this is what we do. We make games, and we're very happy to be in here. We make games that people like, that fit these things. They're the games we want to make, and they're not meant to explode and have us grow to be the next Tencent, and they're not designed to be garbage. They're always going to be, what we love to do and what we love to make. And now that they've got, supposedly the backing of Microsoft to kind of be that company, then that's what I expect from them forever. I think Outer Worlds 2 would probably be great. One of the things I'm most excited about Outer Worlds 2, because I love the first one, my biggest beef about the first one was the maps and the areas seemed really closed in and not open worldy in the way that a Fallout game, which it was very much based on, it's spiritually anyway. It just didn't feel like you could go too far. It's like, here's a very limited place to go. This game, Avowed, is a much larger world with much more to discover and just a more vast scope, but still has a very, if you want it, a very narrow story path. If you want to just do that, you can. So I have high hopes that the next Outer Worlds game, too, coming this year also, will be a little bigger that way. And that's exciting to me because I do miss that. So all of that said, this is who they are, and they make the kind of games I like. And it turns out Avowed's one of those, and they've yet to make one I hate. They haven't made a poo game. They might even surprise me one day and make a tower defense game I like. I'm not holding my breath, but they could.
They might do it.
Yeah. Maybe they'll make a team shooter John would like. I don't know.
Ugh, I don't know. They'd have to get me to try it first. That's the problem.
That is true.
I don't know. Again, if I had, it's hard to say. I try not to play the price determination game, which I see Kazumi in the chat. I'm not trying to necessarily single you out. Other people have said it too. Trying to do where it's like, well, what price should we have charged for this? I don't really care. It's first of all, it's not my job because everybody's financial situation is different. And, there are some things you can look at and, objectively say, like, that's too much money. Because it doesn't matter how much money you make, that's too much money. And there are things that you can look at and go, pretty objectively, that's low. But when you're operating in the middle ground of what video games cost, like, it's very subjective. Like, some people have the budget to buy one game, a month, and like, this is the game they get. And so it better be a freaking good one, because this is what they're getting for the month, right?
Right.
Some people buy everything. Some people, maybe it's their game for the next quarter. Like, it's such a subjective thing that I don't really try to make a strong, like, this is what the game should have cost.
Yeah.
If you want to do that for yourself, hey, it's not my job to give you a reason to or not to play a game. If you want to say, I didn't play Avowed because I don't play video games that start with the letter A because I think the letter A is awful. Fine. It's not my job to tell you that that's a good or bad reason to play a video game. Like, you figure out your own path.
Yep.
Like, you don't need a good reason. But if you're going to try and make the case that, like, this game isn't good because it isn't Skyrim. Yeah, it's not Skyrim. Like, come up with something interesting to say about it, though, because I can give you a bunch of reasons why I like it, and I think there are a bunch of things wrong with it. But let's figure it out, and let's not just make it about these weird, ambiguous things. And, like, again, you don't need a good reason to like or not like something. If I had spent $70 on this video game instead of $25 or whatever I spent, I'm not in that situation, but I don't think I'd be upset. I really like this game. It's one of my favorite games I've played this year.
Yeah.
But that doesn't mean that's how everybody's going to feel about it. That's just how I feel about it.
Other thing to say about it is, what was it? Oh, the one thing it has done that will make things complicated for me when it does come for time to have an Elder Scrolls 6. This has redefined what I will expect from melee combat. And I don't mean the exact same system. What I mean is Skyrim is shit at melee, and it was on day one. Let's not pretend, I'm not saying you, but let's not collectively pretend that Skyrim is really good at combat. It kind of shit at it. It's not great. What it's good at is world building, exploration, lore, tone, scope, all those things. Skyrim, there's a reason Skyrim's an all-timer. But the combat blows. It just does. And I know there are mods and people have tried to tweak it or whatever. Sorry, it's still not very good. This game's combat is so good that that's one of the things I'll have to watch for,
Yeah.
Like it really improves on that stuff. And I'm not saying even the combat's perfect in all cases. Like, this game doesn't care about ammo. This game's like World of Warcraft with hunters at some point. They're just like, yeah, you don't need arrows. You just fire forever.
Yeah, just play.
Yeah. Whereas, Skyrim and Elder Scrolls 6 will probably ask me to collect arrows and buy them and have them. That's all fine. But when I'm in the minute-to-minute combat and I'm fighting, especially with melee weapons, they have to up that game. And they didn't really up it with Fallout. They did a little bit of upping it with the other one, the space one. Remember my almost game of the year? I can't think of the name.
Starfield,
shit. My brain today. Starfield was a much better combat experience, shooting anyway. Melee, I don't know. I couldn't really tell you, but they have a lot of work to do, is all I'm saying. So, it is what it is. This is such a great holdover. I look forward to sequels to this. I'd love more in this world. Now that I know it's part of the Pillars thing, they do more in that space with different game types. I would love that. Give me some tactical stuff. Well, I guess those games they're turn-based, or they can be. Anyway, long and short, Avowed's rad if you'll allow it to be. And if you spent $70,
I'm loving it.
Yeah, it's a good time. I also played a couple other games, and then we'll get to the stuff that you and Bo played. I don't know if he's had a lot of feedback about it, but we'll let him speak for it next week, I guess. But Die in the Dungeon. You may say to yourself, Scott, the hell is that? Well,
Scott, what the hell is that?
So, the Next Fest thing's going on over there at the old Steamer-Rooney there.
It is, yeah.
And I found a demo for this game called Die in the Dungeon, and I played it, and I really, really liked it. And I went, I'm buying this right now. And I did, because it's available to purchase. And the game is Awesome. So I don't know if I'm alone in this or not, but I'm getting a little tired of every roguelike dungeon crawler. It's got card mechanics, It's kind of like, all right, we get it. This is a popular thing. I'm kind of over it. That's kind of the attitude I have. And this, at first I went, well, what's this doing to differentiate itself? And what it does is dice. It's all dice mechanics. And the dice mechanics, or the dice themselves, have powers and unique abilities and weaknesses and strengths and all that other stuff. But at the end of the day, you're rolling dice. And the dice, like all these that just rolled here, it's a terrible roll again, all zeros and ones, 1 and 2. But anyway, the dice have different features. So this one he just put down, which was a 2, that's a boost die. And what you can do with that is it will highlight areas of this grid that pops up in your dungeon run. You're this little frog guy with a sword there, see? Look at him.
Yeah, I do like frogs with a sword, historically.
He's a cutie. I like him. Other guys unlock later, but I'm still with him. Anyway, the dice you roll at the beginning of your turn will come up with numbers. The potential numbers that they could roll, you'll get your result first. And then you decide what you want to do. So the boost one, you put it up top. It's like a D4. You pop it up there. It opens up these other slots. And then under those slots, you could put a damage die and a block die and maybe another boost die that will then create new slots, which will double your boost from the initial boost. There's a little bit of math going on here. But the idea is that the boost die will boost whatever the effect is of the one you're putting there. And then sometimes other dice have other abilities that will affect other dice down the road. They changed the way this part of the game works since the demo. The retail version is way different. Anyway, sorry, didn't mean to get distracted, but the video is not what I saw. Anyway, so that's what I get for not doing my own video. But basically, the essence is still a deck builder, kind of, where it's like these dice do certain things. These are block dice. Well, what's different from a block die over a card that has block on it? Turns out not a lot, except in the case of dice, you roll them and you have that RNG factor of what am I going to get for the roll? And then how smart am I going to be about the roll I got? More D&D style, I suppose. Yeah. And there's something about dice as a mechanic in RPGs that I'm a gigantic fan of. And I don't just straight mean like RPGs in the old tabletop sense, which is obvious that dice are a huge part of that mechanic, but where they take video games that are normally like cards or even, some other way of moving from room to room and replace it with a dice mechanic is just fun to me. I don't know why, just works for me. And this game is great. I'm really, really enjoying it. If all you do is play dungeon running roguelike card battlers, you might play this and say, well, this is just a kind of a thin skin on top of a thing I'm already doing. And you wouldn't be like horribly wrong. But this puzzle element, you can see him fiddling with his boost here. That's the fun bit, is you're kind of doing a little bit of math on this grid. This is like space where you're slotting in dice and you're trying to decide, all right, if I lay these out this way, what's the maximum damage or the maximum protection or healing or whatever it is you're trying to do for that turn against a boss. Like, it's really important strategic choices that need to be made so you don't croak. He's a frog. I didn't mean to.
I got it. Look at you with the frog puns.
Yeah, I didn't actually mean to do it, but it felt good after I did it. So it's the best way I can describe it. I don't know how it's kind of hard to describe otherwise. You unlock new dice as you go. You can add those or it's got that similar mechanic where it's like, I need to dump one of these and trade it for one of these. There's a shop thing along your way where you can buy dice that you don't currently have. You build up currency, all that sort of thing. And to top it off, the art style is awesome. I freaking love this little frog. I love these little
the frog
enemies.
Is awesome. I really like him.
Yeah, the animation's good. It's just like a cute, really cute take on it. It all fits the motif really well. And having a ball with it. Really, really like it. For those wondering how this is on Steam Deck, it's okay if you don't mind using the thumb pad, because it's more of a mouse game. They want you to drag stuff around. That may change. It's in early access, so some of that could change. But right now, it's one of those, which is fine if you're used to it. But on desktop, it's great. Also plays on Mac really well. It is called Die in the Dungeon, which is a pun because die, see, like dice, like die, not like die. But you also die a lot.
Yeah.
But you have a lot of dice. in the
Oh,
dungeon.
I feel you. Yeah.
Yeah. It's very good. Big.
They know what they're doing over there.
They're not stupid. Really fun game though. So check it out. It's cheap and cool. Die in the Dungeon, available now. It's on sale, I believe, for its launch. Okay. Then I played a bunch of the new World of Warcraft patch. I don't have a ton to say, except there's a ton of goblins everywhere.
That makes sense.
Yeah. If you're a fan of the goblins, boy howdy, are you in for a treat, because goblins everywhere.
Down to Goblin Town, down.
They've gone hardcore with it. It's not a half-assed city. You can tell they mean business. And I think this might end up being, I could be wrong about this, but this doesn't feel like a thing they're done with this expansion, that this might be a new hub of note because of just how big it is and how much stuff is going on in this casino and all these things. It's just a really leaning in moment for not just the race of goblins, but just the game. I can't even explain it. Like, just feels notable that it's in here. So I wouldn't be surprised if we're looking at a future where, 10 years down the road, we still are returning to this place for reasons. That being said, that's mostly based on just early impressions. I haven't played a ton of it. I'm doing story stuff right now, single player, solo business. I haven't done any group content. The new season doesn't pop till next week. So there's no, nothing like raiding or anything for me going on yet. PvP season starts then as well. I haven't done the car racing thing yet, although I'm close. But Undermined is cool. I think it's rad, and I'll keep at it and let you know if it disappoints. But so far, it's pretty neat.
Are we going to finally kill Gallywix? I feel like that's a character that has overstayed his welcome.
Just like to push him into a lava pit or something.
Feels ridiculous that so many good World of Warcraft characters have come and gone, and Gallywix has remained.
At the beginning of the cinematic you're presented with, when you launch after the patch, you get basically a untouchable scene with De Niro and the bat around the table kind of scene. And he's your De Niro type, so he's a big mobster guy. They're really leaning into that. Even the music is like 1930s noir mob music. But in a fantasy way, it's hard to explain. It's actually really creative and good. There's going to be people that don't like this motif at all. They're just going to be like, ugh, goblins, man. Freaking the way I feel about gnomes, they're just going to hate it. Sure. But I think it's cool. And it really leans into where the strengths the game already has with the goblins. But I'm with you. I don't need him around after this. And he's doing some stuff without spoilers that I think is going to get him in trouble. So this might be the beginning of the end of that big slug. And eventually we'll be back to, some decent-hearted Gazlo types.
He's been doing things that should have gotten him in trouble years ago. I always got confused. I'm like, why are we letting him on the boat? He, if you played a goblin, actively tries to murder you multiple times.
Yeah, he's an ass. He's the worst.
If you were a goblin, you already had a reason to kill him. He's continued to do terrible things, but there he is, just standing on the boat. Why haven't any of the adventurers just been like, oh man, guys, Gallywix fell off and drowned. I don't know what happened.
Yeah.
Fell on a dagger 87 times and then fell into the boat. Fell off the boat.
He's arguably worse than, oh my gosh, Garrosh Hellscream in terms of just evil.
Garrosh, at least you were like, well, he wears it.
Yeah. He wasn't sneaking around doing that shit behind back. I guess some of it is, but he's mostly wears it, like you say. He's out there. He believes very strongly, and that's who he is. Gallywix is just a cheat and a liar and a bastard, and needs to die. So I don't know if he will or not, but that place is cool. It's a very cool zone, and I think they've done some serious work in there. So hats off to them for first impressions. We'll see how long the tail is on that. John, let's get into Final Fantasy VII Rebirth a bit. You and Bo have been playing this week. I know a lot.
Well, I've been in an interesting dilemma because I looked at the bounty that was video games that I wanted to play, and I had tons of hours in Avowed, and I had tons of hours already in Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, and I was just starting a couple hours in Like a Dragon Pirate Yakuza in Hawaii. More on that in a minute.
Yeah.
And I knew Monster Hunter Wilds was coming out this week, and I thought, I have got to start crossing off some video games from this list. If I don't, nothing is going to get done.
Yeah, if you don't, then you're just me at the end. You don't want to be me. Don't be me.
Yeah, I've got to finish something. So naturally, I picked Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, a game that, by my calculations, will never end.
Yeah.
It might be the longest video game I've ever played. I keep thinking, like, I have to be almost done with this, right? Like, there can't be much. I've been playing for so long.
Mm-hmm.
And then I remember, like, oh, yeah, they said Matt Mercer got hired to be Vincent. I haven't even met Vincent yet in the game.
Mm.
I'm 76 hours into this video game, and there's still a major lore character I haven't even met yet. Like, uh-oh, I think this video game might be kind of long. And so I'm trying to get through it, but not in a bad way. Like, I know sometimes when you say I'm trying to get through it, it's like, oh, it's a slog, it's bad.
Yeah.
I'm loving Final Fantasy VII Rebirth. However, this will be a little critical of it. I do think it makes a couple missteps with pacing in what I thought was the back half of the game. Turns out maybe it's just the middle of the game. But I do think it's probably going to carry on. And so Bo did a bonus episode for February. I recommend people listen to it. It is about Final Fantasy VII. And like a lot of things in this world, Bo and I arrived to a very similar place via a very different path. And so if you want Bo's perspective, listen to that bonus show. He'll be here to talk about it next week, presumably. But one of the things he was very hyper critical of was the amount of mini games in this game.
Yeah.
And I don't mind the amount, but I think there's a problem with the pacing of this video game because very early on, they sort of set up a rhythm to the game. And it's a very logical rhythm. It's like, okay, you're going to get some cinematic story, maybe a boss fight, maybe a couple big encounters and things you're going to do. Then you're going to get to a city hub, and there'll be a bunch of things to do in the city. And then that will progress you out into the open world. And then there's going to be a whole bunch of open world activities to do until the storyline reins in and then takes you to your next big cinematic storytelling, boss fights, dungeons, whatever. And all of that. So it has a pattern to it.
Yeah.
But then all of a sudden, out of nowhere, it messes up the pattern. So just when you kind of find the rhythm of it, of like, okay, I know what to expect. All of a sudden, it puts you in a city and goes, well, you're not going to complete all the quests here. Here's a narrative boss to fight. Okay, now go back. Okay, you can't do all the city stuff yet. Now go do some open world stuff. Okay, but you can't do all of it yet. You need to go do this next story mission part. And so you go and you do that. And you're like in the middle of that. And that's like, okay, well, now you're going to be back over here. Now here's a narrative thing you got to do. Okay, now go back to the open world. Okay, now do this story thing. Okay, now go back and finish those side quests in the city that you missed. Okay, now you're going to go to the next open world hub. And all of a sudden it jumbles all of its systems together in a way that not only breaks the rhythm that they've had, but all of a sudden I, for the first time, found myself really fatigued with what they were doing. Because the open world stuff is very predictable. And this is one of the things Bo was critical of. You're going to do X number of towers that you climb. You're going to do X number of, ruins to, take the code of. I don't remember. It's a bunch of bullshit they give you to do. It's not terribly unfun, but there is something about the predictability of it that takes away from the fun, because there should be a level of exploration and excitement to it. But when okay, I'm going to go do this, and I know I'm going to do this 3 more times when I'm done, that predictability removes some of the discovery, because it's like, oh, well, it's always going to be paced out along this very specific trajectory. And then when they mash them up together, so you go from doing that in one zone to immediately then going into another open world zone, and it's like, do it again. Yeah, it's optional, but if you're like me, you're kind of a completionist and you want to do it all. And so it kind of messes with the rhythm in a way that kind of broke my interest a little bit. But all those little negative, little tiny tidbits aside, I think that's something that could be fixed and figured out for the last game. I hope they do. But Scott, I discovered Paradise while I was playing Final Fantasy VII.
Oh my
Rebirth.
gosh. Was a DJ Atomica there to tell you what was going on in Paradise?
No, bare-chested muscle Doctor Strange was there to welcome me to the Golden Saucer.
Oh my gosh. Are the girls pretty? Wait, how's it? The girls are pretty. Grass is green. Is the grass green and the girls are pretty?
There's no grass.
Oh shit. Okay.
At least not openly.
But
Maybe
Tifa's
who knows
there.
what they do behind the scenes, but
Yeah.
I finally made it to the Gold Saucer, and I do have to say, it was wonderful. I love the Gold Saucer, and it's kind of something going full circle because falling in love with the Gold Saucer was like kind of the gateway drug for me into Final Fantasy XIV. Because it was one of those things where when I was still finding my footing in 14, well, I could go goof around at the Gold Saucer and I would be spending more time there. And then that would then bleed into like, oh, well, maybe I'll play more of this Final Fantasy XIV game. Well, I played the original Final Fantasy VII, which is where the Gold Saucer is from, after that. And I was like, oh, this is kind of cool. This is where it's from, but... I'll tell you, the original Gold Saucer looks like somebody discovered 3D modeling for the first time and created a zone based on it. Yeah. And so I was definitely like, what are they gonna do when they really go for it?
Yeah.
And oh my gosh, do they go for it? I mean, you're watching a little bit of it right now, but I cannot describe to you how insane over the top the Gold Saucer is in the best possible way. It's like Disneyland and Las Vegas and movie musicals had a baby.
Wow.
And it is the craziest, greatest place in the whole wide world.
Look at that.
And I loved every second of it and how stupid and wonderful it was. So
yeah, the way you were like when you were in Discord talking about it, I thought John was having like a spiritual awakening. It was like, wow, he really I mean, I knew you were a Saucer fan from your FF14 exploits, but I had no idea this game was capable of upping your expectations. In fact, next time you're in 14, what are you even going to do with that low rent looking ass?
Oh, it's still great. You'll hear the music and you'll be just fine. I mean, but even the music, they redo all of the game's themes, like the Electric Light Parade at Disneyland. So it's like Aerith's theme, but Disneyified.
Mm-hmm.
It's so good. I love it. I absolutely love it. There's stuff that didn't make any sense for some reason. The inn is a ghost hotel.
Yeah.
They don't ever feel the need to explain this shit to you. It's just like, man, it's a ghost hotel. What are you gonna do?
I want this place to be real. Just looking at it, I want to go there.
Yeah. It's so good.
Yeah.
It's so stupid. There's a guy running around in underwear. He's frighteningly hairy and muscular. And he kind of talks like Daniel Day-Lewis in There Will Be Blood.
Oh.
Like a little bit.
You will drink your milk, that whole thing.
Yeah, I kind of expect, I'm a Golden Saucer man. I've been all my life. This is my boy, HW.
Your cold is making this better, by the way.
What we're going to do is we're going to build an amusement park. It's going to have plenty of rides and attractions and mini games galore. I love it. I love it so much. And like, there's a lot of mini games in Final Fantasy VII Rebirth. I don't know if it needed all of them. There's definitely some where it feels like this didn't need. I didn't need a mini game for picking mushrooms for a side quest.
No.
That didn't need to be a mini game.
Yeah.
That could have just been I press A to pick a mushroom. But at the same time, it's an experience. I'm taking it kind of slow. I'm trying to ignore the fact that there's a bunch of other games calling my attention. But it is just It is just the best.
Dude,
Try
Barrett,
not to laugh
Barrett is
I'm
not
watching
happy.
Barrett freaking beat up the stupid ghost hotel because he just doesn't like it.
He's mad because they're using all this energy from the planet, and he's like, "This is
This is what the planet's dying for, Clown.
Yeah.
It's time for this.
It's the lesson.
And every
there
time
that-
he says it, I'm like, it's worth it though, Barrett. Have you seen it?
yeah,
Take a look.
yeah, that's pretty great.
Oh, and so this is Kate Sith. He would be your annoying anime-ish companion, but I love his voice. You should listen to his voice.
Here, let's
for a
hear a
minute.
little bit. Let's turn it on. Hold on.
Yeah, go back a little bit. Listen to a little
It's
bit.
a toy, all right.
Lads, eyes up here. Kate Sith, fortune teller extraordinaire. Look at it there.
Oh, this makes me want to die, dude. I hate that. That's terrible.
What? His voice is so great.
It's horrible. It's terrible.
No, it's so good. You're wrong. You're wrong. You need to listen to more. His voice is amazing.
Oh man.
I want to listen to Kate Sith narrate the entire video game. It's so good. He does sound like one of the Lord of the Rings hobbits. I looked it up. It is not him though.
Oh, okay. So they didn't. Okay,
But it does sound like him. It does sound exactly like him.
Is it a-
Including there's one part where he talks about potatoes or something.
Oh, well then now I'm in.
Or mushrooms. And I was like, yeah.
If I asked you, is this a spoiler question to ask you if there's a Sid in here? Do we get a Sid ever? Because you know how that's a tradition, right?
I
All
don't
these games.
I don't think that's a spoiler because this Final Fantasy VII came out a long ass time ago, and Sid was in Final Fantasy VII, and so yeah, it's not a spoiler to tell you there's a Sid in Final Fantasy VII as well.
I think I've mentioned a few times. I don't think I got far enough to see a Sid, and I assumed every game had a Sid. So it sounds like that did, and so does this, of course, because it's a remake or whatever.
I don't think Sid is technically in remake.
Oh, yeah.
Unless he makes some weird appearance somewhere in there. But if you're going to take this game, these 3 games as one game, then yes, there's a Sid.
Okay.
But it's yeah, there's a Sid.
There's a Sid, all
I
right.
met him. His voice is really good too. It sounds like a mix between I don't know. He sounds like a Western stereotypical pirate, not pirate, pilot. And it's good. All the characters are good. Everything about Final Fantasy VII Rebirth is good. I'm having a wonderful time. I just finished a major story involving Red 13, and yeah, that's where I'm at. I can't wait to play more of it. Every time I play it, it leaves me wanting to play more of it. So it's still doing.
That's how you know you got a
Still
good game.
doing work.
Yeah, because you don't want to quit. What better compliment is there for a video game than that? You don't want to quit. John, you also played some Like a Dragon Pirate Yakuza in Hawaii. How'd that
Yeah,
go?
and I'm loving it. But it's what reminded me that I needed to pick a lane.
Yeah.
And maybe this was the lane I should have picked because it's shorter. I'd be able to get through it quicker.
It's like 14 hours or something is what I read on average.
But
Yeah.
all these games are really story heavy and they are all mechanics heavy and they all play differently. And I'm not going to remember them. But I did play a good deal more Like a Dragon Pirate Yakuza in Hawaii. That game seems fantastic. I started in Japanese and I actually switched and tried it in English for a while, and I might stick with it. The English dub for it is very good. And from what I saw of what was kind of replayed going between the two, it's actually a really solid translation as well. So it's not like you're losing a bunch of context like sometimes happens. And Matt Mercer plays Majima, and he has for a while. He plays him very well. So he's the only one that, because the weird thing you run into is all of this game takes place in Hawaii. And so theoretically, most of the characters should be speaking English. And that was throwing me off a little bit doing the Japanese version of the game. Is like, okay, well, Majima makes sense.
Sure, it's
But,
Japanese.
you've got a little kid. Now he's speaking perfect Japanese. And I was like, technically all these characters should be speaking English. So that's what made me switch it. And then I was like, you know what? This is good enough. I think I might just stick with this for now.
But
But it's always good to feel good about both.
Was this him here?
All right. Let's set things straight.
That's him, right?
Yeah, that's him.
Okay. I knew that sounded like Mercer, but I wasn't sure that was him. It's a little bit different affectation than I'm used to from him. So it's good.
Yeah, it's a little slimy, a little skeevy because he's a little bit of a pirate.
Yeah.
And criminal.
Yeah. Not like a good guy cowboy named, what is he now? Cassidy in your favorite.
I don't know what his name is. I just know I'm not supposed to say the name I know. That's all I know.
Yeah. The McDonald's name. We're not allowed to say the McDonald's Mick whatever it was. Yeah. Well, that's cool. But more on that later, because like you said, you're picking a lane and, we'll see.
Yeah, I didn't know I picked the biggest lane. I really thought I was winding down Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, and then a Bo's bonus show, he was like, yeah, I just finished chapter 9 of 14. I was like, there's 14 chapters? I'm this far, and I'm only like halfway?
Yeah.
It's a little further.
That's a lot. It's good value for the money, though. Speaking of, for those who think 70's too much for a game, look at all the game you're getting with that thing.
Yeah, that's another reason why I don't like the value proposition argument, because then it's like, some of this stuff could be cut and it would make the game better, not worse. But you get to a place where it's like, well, you need to be worth my $70, and that makes people make dumb video game decisions.
Yeah. You need to be 400,000 hours, please.
Yeah, no, not every game. But right now, I'm enjoying it. It's holding me over. I'm going to probably be incredibly frustrated when it finishes and I have to wait for a third game. But right now, I like it.
Well, because you're on, and we're sort of on the topic right now of how do we finish so many games? How do we decide what to play next? How do we stick with what we have? We got a phone call that I think is an important one, so I'm going to play it.
Hi, this is Mr. Notesman. This is a message for Core. Trying to work out how to keep going with different games. I seem to get stuck in one particular game and just continue going and sort of forgetting about all the other games. How do you sort of chop and change around?
So it's almost the opposite, and it's what I'm too good at. I'm too good at chop and change, to use his term. I think that it seems like it's one way or the other. There are some gamers who are just like, I think this is Bo. He'll usually, not all the time, but he'll pick a game and then just laser focus on it until he has eaten every morsel. And then you have me where it's like the arcade method of, what looks fun today? I don't really feel like that. Okay, we'll do it. And I'll try 10 new things just so I can talk about them or whatever. And then I think John's kind of in the middle, closer to Bo's side. You're not quite as sporadic as I am, but I think you're a little bit closer that way. If you're somebody like him, which is more like Bo, and since Bo isn't here, do you have advice for this guy on how he might, change things up and not get too hyper-focused in one game?
I mean, I guess the big thing is just decide whether or not that's something you want. Like, if you're happy hyper-fixating on a game and getting it done, like, there's no rule that says you got to play every video game. But if you don't like that about yourself...
Yeah.
Do a video game podcast where you put an immense amount of pressure on yourself that you should try something other than Final Fantasy XIV on a week-to-week basis and get out there and experience what the rest of the world has to offer. I don't know. For me, I try to balance two. I try to have a game that I'm invested in heavily, usually a narrative game. So like right now that would be Final Fantasy VII Rebirth. And then I try to have a game on the side. A game that you don't marry, a game you just have fun with. And, as I started this analogy, I was like, ooh, there's no way this is going to sound acceptable.
No.
No, but I like to have a game that's, it's not going to be your mechanics heavy, story heavy game. It's going to be something that's a little easier to pick up and play. And it can even be a complicated game. So I'll give you an example right now. Civilization 7 would be a fine game to balance this with.
Sure.
You could stop it at any moment, really, as long as you're not locked into a one more turn kind of phase.
Oh, cough switch.
Yep, cough switch.
Yeah.
Also, I did this with the Spyro Reignited trilogy.
Right. That's a good example. You were just playing that. Yeah,
just pick something that isn't going to demand an insane amount of attention and say, okay, that's going to be the game I play when my attention is elsewhere.
Yeah.
Either that's what I'm going to play on the Steam Deck, or if you have a handheld or somewhere else, or that's going to be the game I play while I watch wrestling.
Sure.
Wrestling is 3 hours for some damn reason, and I need something else to do while that's not interesting at the moment.
Yeah.
And obviously, you're not going to try and understand a big, complicated narrative at the same time. So you pick something that's going to be kind of light and easy. And that's what I try to do. And just dance between those two games. And then as you kind of get better at it, go, all right, well, maybe I'll have a couple games that I can just sort of play just for fun. Vampire Survivors is a great one, chat. And mix it in. Like what we're talking about today is definitely the result of having too many big story, big mechanic games, because I'm getting that from 3 or 4 different games right now. And it's like, whoa, I put the brakes on a couple of these, and I could throw in a bunch of easy to play games on top of it. That would be fine, but I gotta stop on something where if I'm watching something, I have to pause and go, hold on, I gotta watch another cutscene. Because at a certain point, too, you need to engage with games when you want to. Like, it's for fun. That's supposed to be why we do this. So if you're having to go, ugh, I got to watch another cutscene, you're not having fun.
Yeah, that's not fun. And sometimes that's the game's fault, but sometimes that's you just needing to notice that recognize where you're at and make a change. Like John's saying, and I agree. Oh, I would also recommend, you mentioned Vampire Survivors. My mom was in a really bad accident this week, so we were all kind of rallied around and all this stuff going on. And when I got home late yesterday, I thought, you know what I'm going to do to escape here? I'm going to play a bunch of Death Must Die. Dude, that game is so good. I know it's kind of like second on your list. But man, it's good.
It's pretty high praise.
Yeah, it's pretty high praise.
It's pretty good.
Yeah, it's very good. So I forgot to mention it. I did play about 4 hours of that last night. I got really far. I've unlocked, I think, everything they have. They got a new biome coming or something. They put up a teaser yesterday. Anyway, that game's still in early access, but it feels so good. So good. And I think the way they handle upgrading, like putting points in things, and the way the loot stuff works, it's just enough splash of kind of the Diablo loot thing in one of these like Horde Survivor games that is just chef's kiss. Really good. Anyway, back to the point. What was the point? Oh, the point was there's the answer to your question. Mr. Notesman. I love that name. It's fantastic.
Yeah, hope it helps.
Same here. If you guys want to leave a message like that, I didn't mention it before, but you can go to 10hams.com and you can send us the message. Use your phone, use your desktop, doesn't matter where. You don't have to log in. It's totally free, and we'll get these nice high-quality messages from you no matter where you are in the world, not some crappy phone message. So go check it out. That's 10hams.com, and you might say, Scott, is that 10 like TEN hams, or is that the number 10 hams? Both of them work!
I was going to ask that, actually, because I saw it in here, and I was like, wait, I went to 10 the number hams.com, and it worked fine.
2 different amazing people in our community own the rights to those separate domains, and either one forwards to where you need to go. So just however you feel like putting it in, 10 hams or 10 hams. It all gets you where you need to go. I freaking love this community. You guys are awesome. Brian, too many Brians. John, tell me about Monster Hunter Wilds. You played a little, right?
I played a very little.
Yeah.
I want to mention it because obviously that's one of, if not the biggest release this month. So there's a lot of people anxious to hear us talk about it. And I intend to play it. It's going to be my first Monster Hunter since Monster Hunter, no subtitle, no number, on the PlayStation 2. And I'm pretty excited about it. And I'm going to just warn people, this one's going to maybe be on the back burner for a little bit.
Ooh.
Not because I didn't have fun. It looks very good. I'm not very far, but it is being widely reported that this game is not running great on all PCs. It ran fantastic for me through character creation, through the intro cutscene, through the intro sequence. And as soon as it opened up and became a game, it got real hitchy in terms of performance for me.
Oh, really?
And this is something that's being reported pretty widely. The game currently, at last I checked, it had a mixed review reception on Steam, almost entirely based on performance. So yeah, it's about 50% positive on Steam. And if you look at what the negative reviews are, almost every single review is about performance and stuff like that. So seems like the PC version is having some issues that you might want to wait to make sure it gets fixed. And that I am going to, unfortunately, for those of you who are excited about Monster Hunter Talk, I have a lot of games to play. And until this one gets a little better and a little clearer, this will probably be not the highest priority. So I do want to spend a little time with it so that we can maybe talk a bit about it beyond just the intro of the game next week. But I don't know if I'm going to do a big deep dive into it until I hear that, you know, they've done some tweaking and got it running a little better on the PC.
That makes sense to me. I mean, that's also just such a giant, and like you're saying, it's a huge cake to bite into.
Yeah.
And I know a lot of people are stoked about it. It's going to be their big game this year, and I'm glad for them. But
I did put my character and my cat in our Discord if you want to show that to people.
I do.
You can show them me and my my Palico, whose name is Sir Supplefurs.
Shut up, dude. Really?
Yeah, that's his name.
Okay,
Sir
that's
Supplefurs.
awesome. Are you? Have you seen any food yet? Like, game's always impressive with the food, you know?
No, not yet. All I've really done is save a kid, do some cool acrobatics, make a character. I'll say this. Character actually, like, the character creator's pretty good. I did not spend a lot of time on this character. I worked on this character while I was eating lunch. And people were like, hey, that looks pretty good. And I was like, how long did that take? I was like, about 5 to 10 minutes, which is, if you know me making a character, 5 to 10 minutes usually is about how long it takes for me to decide on, like, eye color. It takes a long time for me to make characters.
Yeah.
And I made something that people are like, yeah, that actually kind of looks like you. That's not bad.
I think it looks a lot like you. I'm impressed by this.
Yeah, just got to put the glasses up on my head. I can't do that with the headphones on right now. But yeah,
it's a good look.
It's a real intuitive character creator. It's real impressive.
Yeah.
And you know, I made a cat. It looks like our cat. Our cat's name is not Sir Supplefurs, but that is what I call him. So,
there.
Yep, look at me.
It's the new co-host.
It's uncanny. It's like I haven't gone anywhere.
That's awesome. All right. I want to see what that food looks like in that game. I just want to see it.
I mean, I'm sure good. Like, that's a big priority.
Isn't it the RE engine now they're using? I think. I thought that was the deal.
I might have heard that, which is weird because the RE engine usually works really well. But then again, the RE engine is usually used for very different games than Monster Hunter.
Yeah.
So,
and there's something else being the new shit, what was it that I heard about? It was something new that's getting made that was like, wow, they're using that for that, and I can't remember what it was. It was something very different than Resident Evil. But I think it's just real versatile. They've worked on it forever. That thing's just like can do anything now. It's like one of the hot new engines in Japan.
yeah.
Gamers, we heard you. All right. Well, that's fantastic. Let's get to some feedback from listeners.
That's a good question.
I got a couple more calls today. Everybody's been using this 10 hams line, even sometimes just to test it, like this guy.
Hey, Scott, John, and Bo. This is Josh from New Brunswick, Canada. Just out doing my mail route. I work for Canada Post. I just wanted to say, all hail 10 hams, good sirs. Love the show, though. Bye-bye.
There you go. All hail good 10 hams.
You know what? That was great, and it sounded great.
Yep, it did.
Look at the 10 hams line working real well. Sounded better than most messages.
Sounds better than our whole podcast combined. For example, here's Alphanumeric with more. He's got a beef with John.
Good.
I'll let him explain.
Alpha from over at Team Fusion on the Discord. Just wanted to drop by and just have a little beef with John there. Something that happened a long time ago and I feel like was never resolved and kind of still hangs me up a little bit on him. But I was in his Twitch stream one night when he was doing his Final Fantasy journey. He was on Final Fantasy VIII and he was having a conversation with Headmaster Sid. And I asked him, do you think Headmaster Sid's the type of guy that just puts his penis through his pants hole to have intercourse? Coitus, and he muted me. I thought John and I shared the same
What?
sense of humor. I guess not. And that's really rubbed me the wrong way for a long time. Since then, I have forgiven him for that, but I love John. He's one of my favorite people on the team. And it just hurt. It hurt a lot. That's all. That's all I got to say.
I'm going to say this. This is rare. Usually when someone has a beef for me, I get on the boxing gloves. I'm ready to fight.
Yeah.
Because I stand by most of the things I do.
Sure.
This is a rare L take, as the kids would say, from John. You shouldn't have been muted for that.
No.
That was great. That's great feedback. Now, I will say, if I didn't think that you were talking about Headmaster Sid and I thought you were talking about me, I might have muted you. I might have misunderstood the context. But
that's possible. I didn't think of that. He may have thought you were saying that about you. And that,
I might have. I was like, sir, I have a child while waiting for a pizza. I don't stick it through a hole in my outfit. How dare you? I don't know, but no, you shouldn't have been muted for that. Can I pull up my Twitch and undo this travesty? Was it just temporary?
Probably. Well, I don't know. Well, he'd have to tell us if it was permanent or not.
He doesn't deserve that. I'm going to say you're absolutely right. The beef is deserved, and that should be undone.
Yeah.
Undone immediately. A bad decision from John.
I forgot to play a stinger for it.
I smell like beef.
That was the beef. That's the beef.
I smell like beef.
Is there anything grosser than proclaiming that you smell like beef? Ugh. Maybe that's worse than that, but that's gross.
I don't know, but like when somebody's cooking beef, nobody's ever like, ew, I smell beef cooking. Everybody's like, beef.
Yeah, but when they say, that's Jerry over there, he smells like beef. And then you'd be like, oh, why?
I don't know. I don't know what's up with that.
Yeah.
It feels mixed.
We're having steaks tonight, and I expect the house to smell like beef when I go upstairs. But it will not be a person, and that makes all the difference. So there you have it. Hey, that's our 10 Hams line. Use it, 10hams.com. That'll get you straight to... This is, by the way, the only show on the network that's using its own custom name for this thing. Everything else is like, such and such / this and that. Nope, 10 Hams all the way to hell and back. 10hams.com. Get in there. Have it done. Make it happen. And big thanks to Dude What Made This. It's really been great. Keep that coming. You can also still email us, talktothecore@gmail.com, and of course text us at 801-471-0462. Before we get out of here, a quick mention of a brand new patron this week, Factorial, which is real close to Factorio. Just almost there, but it's not quite there. Factorial, which sounds like somebody who's, I don't know, all about facts. No misinformation from this guy. And I can confirm that he's a supporter of the show. So huge thanks to him. He's over at patreon.com/core show, where he gets no commercials or ads of any kind anytime. He gets pre-show content, and he gets that every single week, including today. John and I had a big conversation about parenting today.
That's right.
And mortality. And things John probably did when he was 4. Anyway. That's all in the pre-show. You get that by being a patron. You also get monthly benefits, including video game art in the mail from me, host specials like the one Bo just put up about Final Fantasy, and more. But you can only get it by signing up today, and you can do it today at patreon.com/core show. Everything else is at frogpants.com/core. It's now time for John to take on the role of Grandma, if his voice can do it. I don't know. You tell me.
Well, I don't know. It seems fine,
Okay,
I guess.
good.
Maybe Grandma's a little sad today.
Oh.
She sounds a little under the weather, but we're going to read them anyway. The games that got played and discussed was Avowed.
Yeah.
Die in the Dungeon. That's a game, not me telling you what to do with your life. The new World of Warcraft patch. Final Fantasy VII Rebirth. Like a Dragon Pirate Yakuza in Hawaii. And Monster Hunter Wilds.
Good Lord, what a list. Go play all those games, everybody, or whatever you're into right now. That's totally fine. Bo should feel better by next week, so we look forward to having him. Super sad that he was down today, but glad that he's resting. That's going to do it for us, for me and John. We'll see you next time.
Oh, my goodness gracious, these shows are so contagious. Find more goodies at frogpants.com.
You're not trying to feed me too, are you?